but he got a flag down.
Side.
Everyone but the center. Offense.
You're listening to Oofsides on Track and Turf Media.
Talk about playoffs?
But they are who we thought they were.
Who's gonna win it all?
Football.
And who is Dunyan Rings?
You play to win the game.
Live from the Dieter Brock studio.
Don't let these tears fool you. There's all a dog around this mug.
Here's the crew that's bringing it all to you.
Welcome to Oofsides. Oh baby. I'm back as... What the fuck am I talking about? I'm always back. I'm always here. I've never missed an episode of this goddamn show. I'm Matthew. I'm the host. We got Dewey.
Help.
We've got the artist
Football.
formerly known as, yeah. I still got to replace your name with just like a symbol. Maybe I'll remember to do that this week. Yeah, how you guys feeling right now?
Feeling great, man. Life's good.
Hell yeah.
Reaching heights never thought we'd.
There's like 50% pain and 50% relief.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I've got some maybe a good take on the state of the Patriots right now when we get to that game. Because on one hand, pain, but on the other hand, the future's looking kind of bright. So.
Yeah.
Oh god, what did I just click on? I thought I had a cold opening, but I can't remember. All I know is this orange cat's being a gremlin in my house, and he's bullying my roommate's dog, which is really funny. So,
I think
that's been nice.
I think he needs to be the new thumbnail bit. You gotta find a place for him every week.
Dude, so Chaser, my roommate's dog, he's like a little Shiba Hound mix, and he's a gremlin, and I love him. And ever since I rescued Ziggy, he has been constantly whining and crying that he wants to go play with the cat. And his thing is he has no chill. Is this he gets overstimmed almost, and so I've had to kind of slowly introduce him to the cat, and the cat doesn't give a shit. And it's funny too because the contrast of Whiskey, my roommate's other dog, who's a 13-year-old yellow lab, literally does not give a shit that there's a cat in the house. I've introduced them to each other face to face, and I'm still not entirely sure he knows that there's a cat in the house. That's how oblivious he is. But so for the last few days, I've just been taking down the little baby gate in front of my door and just letting Chaser come in and out, and then the two of them have gotten pretty comfortable around each other. And then I think it was on Monday, Chaser came into my room right after I got home from work and was trying to get Ziggy to play with him, and Ziggy just full sprinted at him, and Chaser just took off running, scared as shit. The cat brought the smoke one goddamn time, and he wanted no part of it. And so now he's just bullying Chaser anytime Chaser's being too much. And it's so goddamn funny because he's literally 3 times the size of this cat, and he's terrified of him.
Back when my cats were around, we had my cousin brought her corgi over to my house once. Both of my cats were ragdolls, and one of them was rescued from a home from a big litter, and one of them we got from a shelter. So cousin shows up with the corgi, and the corgi and the cat that was from the litter were deathly afraid of each other, and both of them immediately tried to hide from each other. And my other cat was just looking around what the hell is wrong with these two? Just completely unfazed the entire time. She was trying to walk up and sniff the dog and everything, and the dog just had no part of it, wanted nothing whatsoever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's been super
It was a
fun,
big
man.
cat, too. He weighed 20 pounds for most of his adult life.
Yeah.
And
That's what I was
he was a
gonna say.
scaredy cat.
I think that's a big part of why Ziggy is intimidating to him is because he's a big cat. And so he's not scared of Chaser. And apparently whenever he goes to the dog park, Chaser just bullies the smaller dogs until he messes with one of the big dogs, and then he gets really intimidated. They bring the smoke, and now all of a sudden there's a cat doing it to him, and he doesn't know how to react. So anyway, this is a football podcast.
Yeah. This has been cat sides.
Cats. Yeah.
Rare.
But I will say, this last week started with a very special day. It was Thanksgiving, and I think we're all thankful for a lot of things. And I guess we'll start with where we were most thankful, in Detroit.
The NFL's Thanksgiving slate opened with one of the most storied rivalries in football history, the Bears versus the Lions. After the Lions go up 16-0 at half, the Bears storm back to bring it within 3 with 2 minutes left. Caleb Williams puts together another clutch-as-hell drive to put the Bears on Detroit's 35 with 40 seconds left. He gets sacked, and then head coach Matt Eberflus doesn't take the timeout he literally reserved for this specific exact situation. Time runs out, and a deep heave to Rome Odunze falls short, ending the game. Lions 23, Bears 20. When Matt Eberflus dies, I'm going to go to his gravesite, and I'm going to take a timeout next to it in his honor, since apparently that's what he was saving it for.
Yeah, in a season of completely inexplicable Bears losses and late game meltdowns, this is maybe the worst I've seen ever.
Yeah, ever.
It's been almost a week now since this happened. I still can't believe it happened.
Yeah.
Like, I've had 6 days to sit on this in between when I watched it happen and when we started tonight, and I can't fucking do it.
Like, obviously there's a lot to talk about this game, but this is the obvious starting point, is like
I just don't know. You're being paid millions of dollars to coach football at the highest level in the world, and you don't know how to manage your fucking timeouts. What are we doing here?
So, yeah, like, okay, in this, like, obviously the players deserve a little bit of blame in this, you know? Like, you could see Caleb Williams, like, calling for the play immediately after he gets sacked. And then it's a goddamn year, it feels like, until they finally snap the ball, because apparently he changes the play. But, like, you're the head coach, man. It all starts and ends with you.
He could have very easily audibled a different play in there.
Yeah,
and something.
At some point, you have to step in and use that timeout and say, okay, we're fucked here if I don't do this. Like, obviously, you don't want to call that timeout because the idea is, you know, run a play on third down, get closer to field goal range, call timeout, kick it. But at some point, you have to be on your toes. Like, the plan changes, you know? There's the Mike Tyson quote that no plan survives getting punched in the face. And that is like the prime example where they had a plan and it went wrong. And instead of adapting or instead of realizing that, hey, my rookie quarterback doesn't exactly know what to do here, you just let him fail? Like,
But
what
also
the fuck?
It also didn't help that they were on an interim offensive coordinator as well in this game.
So that was
more later.
That was another thing, and Tony Romo pointed this out. They were running a QB draw on second down,
and why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, why is that the play call? How do you give up an unblocked sack on a run play? And then also, when you're in that situation, you can't just line back up and hurry up and run it again. You know? Like, there has to be another play. It was just insane to watch. Oh God, it's just inexplicable.
I just can't believe this is happening in the NFL in 2024.
Yeah,
it's one thing for a college offense to fuck up in a situation like this, especially if it's like an FBS or like a Group of 5 or an FCS team or whatever. But if you're in the NFL, like, you know, those 53 guys obviously are going to have a very wide talent disparity, but even the 53rd guy on the roster is still going to be better than 90% of players that are going to be in college. Everybody on that team, to an extent, whether you're on offense or defense, should know what the situation is when you get to a point in the game like that. And to have not all of your players aware of that and to be able to react to it in a timely manner is a massive coaching failure.
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall, and when you had players saying things like they needed to be coached more, like leading up to this game,
Like, what are they doing during the week? Like, what film are they watching? Like, what are you breaking down? What are you, like, what drills are you going through that end up in a situation where after a big game, your players are saying, yeah, we need to be coached more. Like, what are you spending your week doing?
Yeah, and I have it's a truly inexplicable quote. I mean, obviously it's in the context of him describing what their plan was, which was our hope was because it was third down going into fourth that we would re-rack that play at 18 seconds, throw it in bounds, get into field goal range, and then call the timeout. That's where it was, and that was our decision-making process on that. Again, we were outside field goal range, so we needed a few more yards there, as close as we can get, and then we were going to call a timeout, and that's why we held that last timeout. Okay, short. Why then so you can say that we were going to snap it at 18 seconds. Caleb Williams changed the play with 13 seconds. So you were already 5 seconds into knowing that it wasn't going to plan. And then it was another 7 before the ball was snapped. So, like, I know we're down to just seconds at this point, but in football terms, that's an eternity, and that's unacceptable. Like, you can't say, well, this was our plan, and then the plan fell apart a significant amount of time after it was supposed to happen. And then he added to that, I like what we did there. Again, once it's under 12 there, you're going to call a timeout there. You don't have an option. To me, I think we handled it the right way. I do believe you re-rack the play, get it in bounds, and then call timeout. That's why we held it, and it didn't work out the way we wanted to. It's just completely detached from reality, is this quote. Like,
oh, I want to point out, too, I saw this, like, the day after, that apparently Gerard Mayo was watching this game, and he decided to call the Patriots director of game management to ask him how they could learn from that. And I read that article, and I was like, do you really need to ask how to learn from that? Like, isn't it obvious?
I guess it was more just like hey, let's make sure we never do that.
Like, I understand the sentiment, but, like, I think if you have to publicize that, I think it shows you're a little underprepared as a coach yourself.
Yeah.
But I guess more about the game itself, though. We had a trick play in this game where Penei Sewell got the ball and was supposed to throw it, but didn't and took a sack, which means that through the first 12 games of the season for the Lions, Penei Sewell has taken more sacks than he has allowed. He has, I think he's played like 800, just under 800 snaps this year, and has yet to allow a sack on Jared Goff.
What I love is that's not even the most confusing stat of the week.
There's a lot of shit from this week. And also, the Lions tried really hard to blow this.
They really did.
And it got overshadowed by what happened at the end.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, they should have lost this game, and the Bears just let them have it.
Something about Thanksgiving, man. Like,
seriously, they got turkey on the mind.
They really do. They're just hungry.
Well, the Lions finally won on Thanksgiving again.
Yeah, what was that? The first time in 8 years? I think that's what the stat was.
I think 2015 was the last time they won on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, this that's the most frustrating thing, and it's been the thing with basically every single game since their bye week, is that the Bears are a few like single play meltdowns away from being 8-4. Like, this team should be a juggernaut, and instead they're 4-8.
They have a good roster. It's just the coaching and the personnel around them is so shit that they've become a shit team because of that.
Yeah.
I think it's impressive that Caleb is still showing that he can be a star despite what the coaching is doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, you surround him with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and you know, all this talent that they acquire during the offseason, and he's going to produce. Like, the overwhelming consensus, it seems, from Bears fans right now is, like, Caleb Williams can be great if we let him. You know, if we don't blow this again.
I think he broke the Bears franchise record for most passing touchdowns by a rookie in a season as well in this game. which he only has like 14 for the year.
That is
I think-
sad.
I think the guy that held the record did it in like the 40s or some shit. Like it was a long ass time ago. But
Oh
like
my god.
if they can finally get a competent head coach in that building, he could very well become their greatest quarterback in franchise history. And even though that's not a very high bar, especially compared to other teams around the league, there's still a special talent that it would be a damn shame if it got wasted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On the Lions side of the ball, more defensive injuries as well. Like it's insane
Getting
how
ridiculous.
snake-bitten this Lions defense is, especially with how good they play, even with like fourth and fifth stringers.
They have 18 players on injured reserve.
Yeah, the stat I read was I think it was 4 of their 6 defensive ends are on IR right now.
God.
Yeah, or I should ones that they started the season with basically. Because I believe Zadarius Smith left this game with an injury, and he's probably
think
done
he
for the
did.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it unfortunately, like I don't know if it's gonna come unglued for the Lions here, but they're playing with fire, or I shouldn't say playing with fire, but like the fate is being tempted with these injuries.
It's
in
getting
what's been
concerning.
Yeah. So, not as concerning as it is in Chicago. More on that later. But yeah, just another inexplicable loss for the Bears of Chicago. There was another result on Thanksgiving that is a little more predictable. So let's go there. Thanksgiving, a time for family, friendship, and remembering what we're thankful for. We make our homes welcoming to everything we hold near and dear to our hearts. And as is the annual tradition, the Dallas Cowboys are thankful for the New York Giants. Dallas put aside their woes at home with their first win in Arlington this season, as well as their 8th straight against the G-Men. The Cowboys defense feasted on more than just turkey and mashed potatoes as they racked up 6 sacks on Drew Lock in a 27-20 victory. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. This is like this week's patented game not as close as the score suggested. Because, once again, we're saying this about the Giants. This was bad.
This being the #1 primetime game in the entire nation for the whole season. And it ends up just being a disappointment like that.
I hope you were ready for Cooper Rush versus Drew Lock.
Man.
As we all thought.
Yeah.
You know what, though? Drew Lock didn't play that terrible.
Yeah,
I have to be honest.
He just
for what he
spent
was
half
thrown
of the
into.
afternoon on his ass. So
yeah, for what he was put into, he did not do that bad.
Yeah, Drew Lock's. I mean, his couple starts that he made last year were very good. So and like he always had flashes early in his career in Denver. So like Drew Lock can play. It's just, he's unfortunately not being done a lot of help right now with a pretty dysfunctional Giants team, as it seems.
It's functional everything.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys got a career game from Rico Dowdle, though.
What were you gonna say?
I wanted to shout out Drew Lock running in a touchdown himself as well.
Yeah.
Just as we all expected.
Mobile threat Drew Lock.
Like the white Joe Flacco.
God damn it. This is one of those this game had a play also that I would just describe as disrespectful, which was Demarion Overshone just
that was awesome.
Intercepting Drew Lock and then running it all the way back. Like, yeah, it's not often that one guy just does everything by himself. But Overshone 100% did that. And that's kind of when you knew that things were going to be going bad for the Giants after that. Yeah, I won't lie. Like, I was kind of tuned out, like only watching this kind of out of the corner of my eye while I was at Thanksgiving. And it more or less was just me checking to be like, oh, the Cowboys are still winning. All right.
Yeah, it's been that kind of year for them, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're 5-7, and like, yeah, for Cowboys fans, 5-7 probably sounds like shit to 95% of them, but they're still somehow not really out of the playoff race because nobody they're fighting with seemingly wants to win either.
Well, I was gonna say I
This
must be
season just doesn't make sense.
I must be the 5% because after that I was like, they're fucking 5-7. What 5 games have they won?
I still can't believe they beat the Steelers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's one
I
of
did
them,
forget about that.
isn't it?
That
And the Commanders.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, this I think the worst part about this win is it's going to make Jerry Jones think that they're still a contender. So, and considering the Bengals can't beat anybody and they're playing them on Monday night this week, they're probably going to be 6-7.
Oh,
That
Don't
game
say
could be
that.
generational ass. Like if the
stoppable force versus movable object.
Oh,
Because that's the thing, like, if the Cowboys defense could put this kind of effort forth every week, they could have legitimately been carried to a playoff spot by this point in the year. Like, obviously not having Dak is still a major blow, but, like, if this defensive unit could string more and more games like this together, I'd say it leaves them in a much more promising state, at least for next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because they're doing a
Assuming
lot of
they-
this without DeMarcus Lawrence still, too.
assuming they want to pay these guys so they actually come back.
They should.
Yeah, it is wild that like as highly regarded as Mike Zimmer was for a long time, like how much this defense fell off after Dan Quinn left and Mike Zimmer took over. And I mean, we're seeing what Dan Quinn can do defensively in Washington. More on that later. But yeah, I don't know what the future of this team is right now. Like Dak's gonna be back next year. We know that. At this point, I think McCarthy might be back as well. I don't know how to feel about that. I have very mixed feelings about Mike McCarthy.
Good luck.
He should have been gone after the playoffs last year, but like you look at what he's done this year and be like, can you really say he's done that bad of a job with how bad this roster is? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't
think
know.
they'd be 5-7 with about anybody right now. Like, obviously, Mike McCarthy has his flaws as a coach, but I don't think a lot of this is on him, truthfully.
Yeah.
just
With how
given
this
how
year's
this
gone.
given how this team is built, I think this was going to happen.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think at some point they're just going to need to tear it down to the studs and start over, even if that means dealing out Dak.
The one that's
Yeah.
going to suck is if they deal Parsons.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
there was genuine buzz that they might move him at the trade deadline this year, which was the crazy thing. So you never know. I would bet against that ever happening because of just how loyal Jerry Jones is to his guys, but yeah, you never know. And I think
mean-
it's just going to come down to like, can you convince him that being really bad for a season or two is good?
Well, I mean, we got the Bears to change a franchise-long tradition this season. I think we could get the Cowboys to do the same.
Never say never.
Yeah. Crazier things have happened. So.
Mm-hmm.
Such one crazy thing that didn't happen though. Miami winning a game in the cold. You never know. To Green Bay.
The Finns went north for a date with the Pack. Love carved up the defense and ate it for a snack. They talked all that shit about not being bad in the cold, but they failed to back up a claim that bold. Miami tried a little, but eventually they gave in, and the Pack gave thanks for an easy Thursday win as they cruised to a 30-17 dub over the Dolphins, who again, still, despite 365 yards from Tua, cannot win in the cold.
So, like you mentioned, there was a big push by the Dolphins media machine to debunk this idea that that they can't play in the cold.
Except in
And-
Foxborough, apparently.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit last week where it was like, oh yeah, their 2 losses in the coldest games they played last year were against the Bills and Chiefs. Like, of course they were going to lose those games. However, there's a stat here that I think you guys would appreciate, which is that Miami has lost the last 11 straight games with a kickoff temperature of 40 degrees or below. Their last win in a game in those conditions was 2016. That was Adam Gase as the head coach.
Oh,
So, yeah,
And-
I mean,
yeah, they're just not good.
no.
Not
I mean,
cold, no.
I'll just come out and say now, I mean, you cannot blame them at all for how the Chiefs game went last year because there were fans in the stands getting frostbite in that game.
Yeah, Patrick
But-
Mahomes' helmet literally broke because it was fucking like frozen.
But
Yeah.
besides that one, it's a bit of a worrying trend because the powerhouses in the AFC this year are obviously in very cold climates because it's Buffalo again and it's Kansas City again. And if the Dolphins manage to claw their way into the playoffs, they're going to have to go on the road to either Buffalo, Kansas City, or maybe Pittsburgh in the middle of January, and you're going to end up in the exact same spot again with very cold weather again. So if they can't figure it out now, they're not going to make it far in the playoffs even if they get there.
Yeah, I've been sheepish on the Dolphins making this playoff push ever since like the first 2 weeks that we saw them, even with Tua healthy, they did not look good, and one of those was in Buffalo.
Surprise, surprise.
So it and that was in September, of all times. Yeah, and I mean that was just fully on display in this game. It felt like so many times if there was a collision between two players, it was the Miami player hitting the dirt. And you're just not going to go into Lambeau Field and beat the Packers in winter, especially if you're a warm weather team, because this is not just weather related. This is a big, tough team. They've always been that way. Even when they've had down seasons on defense, they've always had giant offensive linemen that will just run you over. And Josh Jacobs embodied this, even though his numbers don't look great. He is such a perfect fit for what they're doing on offense. And they just had no answers this entire game or the Dolphins had no answer to the Packers this entire game.
I still can't believe that the Packers are 9-3 and they're third in their division. What the hell, man?
There is a distinct possibility that we have a three-way tie at the top of the North at the end of this year.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler for Pick They Them, so we have Packers-Lions this week. And if the Packers win that game, all of a sudden the NFC North is just an absolute dogfight.
Yeah.
I would also like to talk about the career resurgence of Jonnu Smith over the last 3 weeks. He was kind of an afterthought after he got traded from the Patriots to the Falcons last year, latched on with the Dolphins at the beginning of this year, and in the last 3 games has had arguably the 3 best games of his entire career, back to back to back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he actually has a good quarterback throw into him for once. Instead of
10
fucking Desmond Ritter.
10 receptions for 113 yards as a tight end is fucking nutty. And I think he's led the Dolphins in receiving 2 of those 3 games.
I believe you are correct with that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, Tua put up solid numbers, but they were just down the entire game. And they had so many drives that just went nowhere in the first half. And, this is the type of game that you cannot let the Packers get out in front because they will just punish you. And the cold makes such a difference. No matter what they say, this is the narrative, and it's the narrative for a reason.
They're not beating the allegations.
No,
Literally.
there was a really funny idea that Connor Orr had on Heed the Call, where he was like, "I think a big problem is the uniforms, the turquoise and the white. It just looks too warm." He was like, if ever there were a game to debut a black and red alternate jersey, this would be it. Just completely change identities come December.
Honestly, go for the Miami Vice look.
Yeah,
That would
I
go
could see it.
so hard.
That would look pretty
Facts.
sick. Yeah, do we have anything else to say about this game?
I missed most of this game. I was in a turkey coma. So
I was playing pool and playing surprisingly well, and I just kind of kept looking over and was like, "Yep, Dolphins still losing. All right."
Yep.
Yeah, I was just playing Minecraft while eating Korean barbecue. It was a pretty good day.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
It was.
Speaking of barbecue, let's go to Kansas City for the Black Friday game.
Black Friday, Black Magic. For Raiders fans, this one was tragic. A chance to knock off the Super Bowl champs turned into a nightmare for the ages, complete with eye cramp. O'Connell tried his best, but it was all in vain, as they lost for the 10th time. Pain, as the Chiefs defeated the Raiders 19-17 in perhaps the most inexplicable ending of the week, not on a Thursday.
Man, what the
The fuck?
Just, what the fuck?
Come on.
I want to start off, though, by acknowledging the fact that Aiden O'Connell threw for 340 yards in this game.
Dude, okay, I'm so mad because my notes app didn't, like, sync or save properly. He had a truly ridiculous stat for passing outside the numbers in this game, and I unfortunately don't have it. But I'll just let you know, it was really good.
This was the best game of his career. Probably the best game by a Raiders quarterback since the departure of Derek Carr. And it got wasted on this.
So, like, you can't... I mean, every single goddamn Chiefs game comes down to this. Where...
And this one wasn't even Chiefs bullshit either. This was just Raiders being stupid.
It's just... I mean, I feel like this could still be clarified as... or classified as Chiefs bullshit, because only the Chiefs get that level of break. And what we're referring to is the Chiefs are clinging on to a 19-17 lead. The Raiders have driven deep into field goal range, and all they have to do is run one play to run the clock down, take a timeout, and then kick a game-winning field goal. And instead, there's some miscommunication between O'Connell and the center, who snaps the ball when he's not ready. Chiefs fall on it. They win. Like, how does that even happen? And of course it has to be against the Chiefs. Like,
If any team was going to do this, it would have been the Raiders, though.
that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been looking at this in a Chiefs bullshit kind of way. I'm looking at this as the Raiders blowing it kind of way.
That's fair.
I feel
Yeah.
like no matter who they would have played, they could have done something like this.
It's just so fitting that it's like, oh my god, somebody's finally going to beat the Chiefs. No, they're not.
It should be noted that the center for the Raiders in this game was their second round pick rookie this year, Jackson Powers Johnson. So he, like, a very inexperienced center and a very inexperienced quarterback. Yeah, I'm not kind of surprised that happened at all, really.
Yeah. And you have, in, like, since this game happened, O'Connell and the center have both claimed responsibility for it. I've also seen people talking about that a lot of teams, when they do the silent count, they'll have the right the right guard who will look back at the quarterback and then tap the center, to tell him to snap it. Maybe he had something to do with it. But either way, this is, like, up there with, like, inexplicable Bears losses of this season in terms of what the fuck factor.
Yeah.
I think in the 2018 AFC Championship game, when Tom Brady got picked off at the end of the game, and it was nullified because, what's his face? I can't remember. D Ford was offside. I feel like in that moment, the Patriots bullshit was transferred over to the Chiefs, and it has been playing out continuously for the last 6 years.
Fun
And
fact
it's getting
about
worse
that.
and worse each week.
Fun fact about that play, by the way. The in the intro when it goes oof sides.
That's
the
that
clip.
call.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's funny you say that because I pulled that play up a couple weeks ago because I was doing some reminiscing, and I heard the ref made the call, and I was like, son of a bitch, that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
So you got a flag down. Side.
It's Cleep Lakeman, so. But yeah, like, it sucks too that it's like, this has to be the narrative after Aiden O'Connell genuinely played great.
And Brock Bowers too.
Yeah, this is going to
Yeah.
overshadow one of Brock Bowers' best games as a rookie.
Dude,
And honestly,
that,
I think he's the best tight end in the league right now.
Brock
I
Bowers-
think that's right.
Brock Bowers leads the NFL across tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, leads the NFL in receptions, and is 4th in the league in yards on a 2-10 team quarterbacked by Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, and Aiden O'Connell.
Dude, the
As a
catch he
rookie.
made, basically to set up what would have been a game-winning field goal.
That was
unreal.
ridiculous.
Dude is
It's
so
damn
good. And
It's
it's
just,
funny too, because God, sorry.
It's just a shame that he's going to be wasted on the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's like what we talked about last year, where it was like the Raiders looked like the worst roster in the league, and then you look at them, you're like, they look kind of good though. Like Max Crosby is one of the best pass rushers. You have a great tight end.
Jacoby Myers has also been a top 10 receiver since the trade of Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers has been great for them. Michael Mayer is not really seeing a lot of play, but when he was getting play last year, was fucking awesome too. Like,
and they might have a new decent running back in Sincere McCormick now that Zamir White and Alex Madison have missed so many games.
What a name, by the way.
Like, he might not be
awesome.
that bad after
That man
all.
was born to be a Raider.
Yeah.
And like Amir Abdullah somehow is still in the league getting meaningful playing time and making the most of it. Like, they're not a terrible roster. It's just another coaching thing, honestly.
Yeah.
And if
Coaching
O'Connell
and
can,
another year of experience. I mean, I think this team could be decent.
and like if O'Connell can play like this every week, he could be the guy for them.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah,
I just don't know if Antonio Pierce is the answer.
Yeah, unfortunately, for us Bisaccia heads, this is making that decision look good. Where it's like maybe you don't hire the interim head coach.
Take the Bisaccia pill.
Based in Bisaccia.
Pierce
But at the same time, the
seething
Packers
over
special teams looks pretty good, and he's coaching them up. Just saying. So
Pierce sells seething over Bisaccia Chads.
God damn it.
Oh.
I guess we should talk about the Chiefs a little bit.
I guess.
Yeah.
Do we have to?
I mean, what was there to talk about, really? Because Mahomes had an off game again.
Oh,
And
Yeah, this
he's
is just
alright.
becoming the norm at this point.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not a good offense.
Maybe he just doesn't have the weapons he did.
Mahomes is washed. That's what it is.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Oh, they did have Pacheco back for this game, but he didn't really. Or I think they've had him back for 2 or 3 games, but I think he's still trying to find his rhythm again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that is down to him being rusty and just this offense being dysfunctional, but
There was a
Hopkins has
lot
been
more
a saving
Kelsey
grace.
yeah, I was gonna say
compared to the
we did
last
get
couple weeks.
signs of life from Travis Kelsey, which, depending on who you ask, could be a good or bad thing. But
The emergence of Noah Gray has also been very interesting. Because there were points in this game and in the last couple of games where it definitely seems like he's been favoring Noah Gray over Kelsey in some spots.
oh yeah,
Which
is,
I don't think this is like a replacement kind of thing. What it reminds me of, truthfully, is back in like 2010 and 2011 when Bill Belichick would run the 2 tight end sets with Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. I think the Chiefs have something there where they could successfully roll that out and bring in a new dynamic to the offense they haven't had since Andy Reid got there.
Man, that sounds like a killer offense.
It does. I think they can really hang in there for most of the game if they do that.
And you know what? That seems like a good note. Once again,
You can't keep getting away with it.
and Bill, take us to the next game.
You're on to Cincinnati.
Oh God, that's the same song. Hang on. Okay, there we go.
For the first time since 2018, the Steelers cracked 40 in a game. The 51-yard pick six from Cam Taylor-Britt was only the beginning for a rare offensive shootout in the AFC North. Russ and Burrow both pop off for over 300 yards and 3 tutties apiece, while 8 combined players scored touchdowns across both teams. In fact, Russ finally learned he has a tight end. Pat Freiermuth hauls one in at the end of the third quarter to put Pittsburgh up by 10, and a fumble by Nick Herbig, returned for a touchdown by Peyton Wilson, ices the game early in the fourth. The Steelers finally put the Bengals out of their misery, 44-38.
So I have a stat.
Bengals.
Oh, good.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll go. The Bengals this year have lost twice while scoring 38 or more points, which is tied by most by any team ever. They have 3 losses when scoring at least 34, which is tied for the most by any team ever. They've lost 4 games scoring at least 33 points, which is the most by any team ever. And they've lost 6 times while scoring at least 25 points, which is tied for the most by any team ever in a year. The Patriots have not scored more than 25 points this entire season, and they have 1 fewer win than the Bengals do. This defense fucking sucks.
To build onto that stat, yeah, the Bengals are 1-2 when scoring 38 plus, like you said. Do you want to know what the rest of the league is when scoring 38 plus?
12-0.
21-0.
Oh my god.
I couldn't believe that teams have scored 38 plus 21 times this season.
That's why I said 12. I didn't think it happened that many times. It's been kind of a low-scoring season besides the Lions, really.
Yeah.
Oh, Bengals.
Yeah, this is... Oh, good.
To frame how bad this defense is, every Steelers player, except for Darnell Washington, their longest run was over 15 yards. Most of the time for their only target the game. Najee, Cordarrelle Patterson, Jalen Warren, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and Ben Skowronek all had runs over 20 yards.
When did Ben Skowronek go to the Steelers?
This year.
What the fuck?
What's that?
I think he was a practice squad guy. This was his first started game this season.
Made the most of it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, when was the last time a Steelers quarterback threw for 400 yards in a game?
Oh god.
I mean, obviously I would think it's Ben, but like, how long ago?
Probably 2018.
I was gonna say 2019 or 2018, yeah, because 2020 that was the year they started like 10-0, but he wasn't playing very well.
Actually, it was probably that wild card game against the Browns.
Oh yeah.
Actually, yeah, that is probably a good one. So there was a stat earlier this year, and I can't remember what game it was. I think it was against the Giants. That like, I think Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, has only held a team to single-digit points like once in his stint with this team.
You need to fire his ass.
But like, I constantly hear from like NFL media folks that like there's always this hype, like this mythos around him, and I was like, he's not good though. Like the Bengals don't have good defenses.
No.
They've never had good defenses under him.
I also looked it up. Ben Roethlisberger not only threw for 400 yards in that wild card game, he threw for 500 yards in that wild card game.
God.
But also threw 4 picks.
Yeah, that'll happen. But he's pouncing.
More on that later.
I'm smiling right now. Yeah, this has been, even as somebody who doesn't really like the Bengals, this has been one of the most infuriating seasons to watch. Because Joe Burrow is like, he would probably be my pick for MVP if like winning records didn't really matter. Because fucking damn it, is he the only thing that keeps this team relevant right now?
He's probably the best quarterback in the league right now, just on a shit team.
He still leads the league in passing yards, and he leads the league in passing touchdowns on a 4-8 team.
Oh, God.
He's thrown for 3,300 yards, and he already has 30 touchdown passes. And they're going to miss the playoffs.
There's a quote from Burrow that I'm trying to find right now that I'm not usually one for throwing your teammates under the bus, but I feel like he's pretty justified.
Yeah.
I get it. I do.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I get it.
Yeah. I really don't blame him.
Yeah.
Him and Jamar Chase are the only ones doing anything on this team right now.
Yeah, it genuinely is just the two of them, like, carrying this whole team.
I just looked it up too. The Bengals have allowed the second most points in the NFL this year. They've allowed 340 points, which is one more than both the Jaguars and the Cowboys, and 26 fewer than the Panthers.
Wow.
They are bad. So it makes sense that the other 3 teams I just listed are also not going to make the playoffs and are going to be competing for a top 10 pick, despite how good their offense is. because while the Jaguars have only scored 228, the Panthers have only scored 217, and the Cowboys have scored 248. The Bengals have scored 335 points on offense, which is third most in the AFC.
Good God.
Man, what the hell?
Complete opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of offensive and defensive performance. It's insane.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wish I could find this quote right now, but he was basically saying like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have to ask a lot of important questions," and then said something along the lines of like, "Which guys we can trust and which guys we can't." It's like Jesus.
Not a lot.
Yeah, and that's pretty out of character for Joe Burrow. And I don't blame him. You know, like,
Yeah.
when you play at such a high level, you expect your defense to be able to make a stop. Because it shouldn't come down to, an interception by Burrow and a fumble by them deciding a game in which you score 38 points, right?
Yeah.
It's
The
just
game should have been
unacceptable.
far over before
Yeah.
that.
And
the
it should also
Steelers
be noted-
tried.
Yeah,
They tried to
yeah,
lose
they
this
did.
game.
Yeah.
But it should also be noted, too, that Trey Hendrickson leads the NFL with 11.5 sacks. The problem is that he's the only one that's been playing well on that defense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that point too.
You could make
Bengals
the case for him
have
being Defensive Player of the Year.
the Bengals have the best passer, receiver, and pass rusher in the league right now, and they're what, 4-8?
4-8.
And
So what
I'm completely out of it.
What I'm picking up is they should merge the Raiders and the Bengals together, and they would have a really good team.
Like,
Maybe
T.
that-
Higgins has been really good when he's played, too. Like, probably a top 10 receiver when he's been on the football field.
Yeah.
And
Maybe-
Mike Gesicki's been a pleasant surprise for them at tight end so far this year. And yet, they're here.
Can you guys hear the cat? He's being very grumpy right now. He just woke up.
Rompy.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe if you merge the Bengals and Raiders, it'll undo the like bad juju that's been over both of these teams since Bo Jackson's injury, and they can just like, put that all to rest finally. So maybe. I mean, crazier things have happened. But yeah, this season has just been such a fucking failure. I mean, it absolutely shouldn't be this way. So, I've seen people talking about like, oh, is Zach Taylor going to be safe? And I'm like, the offense isn't the problem, and Zach Taylor's the offensive guy. So I think changes need to come, but the Bengals, like every other historically bad franchise, they don't make changes in the offseason, and they don't go shopping in free agency, and I hope that Joe Burrow's presence makes them change that, because they wasted Ken Anderson, and then they wasted Boomer Esiason, and then they
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer, and then they wasted 5 great years of Andy Dalton. So
Here we go again.
and Andy Dalton is not on, and maybe even Boomer Esiason are not, on the tier of some of those other guys that I listed, but like Joe Burrow's already basically replaced Ken Anderson as the best quarterback in franchise history. Like,
Yeah.
don't
Easily.
waste him.
But it's crazy, too, because you could also make that argument for the wide receivers they've had, too. Because, like, they wasted TJ Houshmandzadeh, they wasted Chad Johnson, they wasted Chris Collinsworth, and now potentially they're going to waste Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yep. So, yeah, just makes that Super Bowl loss feel even worse, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That might have been their only shot.
Yep. Anyway, on to Atlanta. Oh God, where are my notes? April 25th, 2024, the Atlanta Falcons shocked the NFL world with their selection of Southpaw quarterback Michael Penix Jr. But you just signed Kirk Cousins. Why select a quarterback? We all asked. Kirk is here to get you back to the playoffs. Why draft someone who's not going to play? With a 2-game lead and having locked up the tiebreaker over Tampa, the Falcons are now in a free fall. Younghoe Koo missed a 35-yarder early, and Kirk Cousins threw 4 interceptions, including a back-breaking pick-6 that was the deciding score against a savage Chargers defense. Penix now looms over Kirk's shoulders as the Falcons have now lost 3 straight.
That
start
500-yard game against the Bucks feels like it was 3 years ago.
It really does.
Just one thing to lead off. Kentavious Street got a sack in this game.
Fuck yeah.
I still can't get over that. Like, I might have to make a Kentavious Street theme now.
Oh, we also had a pick six by Tarheeb Still in this game.
Oh yeah, that's
God,
right.
just all the great names.
Had a solo
Yeah.
tackle by Shaq Quarterman.
Yeah, this
Fuck yeah.
this season's getting away from the Falcons pretty quickly.
Yep.
Because like I mentioned, they've clinched the tiebreaker over Tampa for the NFC South, and
Now
they
they're
had
tied with them.
what was that?
I said now they're tied with them.
Yeah, and they had a 2-game lead over them as well. And I've heard people saying like, "Oh, I think the Bucks are still going to win the division." And 3 losses later, it's all evened up now, and Tampa has all the fucking momentum. They obviously don't play again, but I mean, the Falcons completely control their own destiny, and they could have driven basically a stake into any and all chances the Bucks had at getting back into this, and now they've let them right back in. And I mean, we'll talk about more of them later, but like this coincides with a Chargers team that is ascending into a defensive powerhouse as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these 4 Kirk Cousins interceptions were bad. Like they were very, very ugly, especially the pick 6.
The last 2.
Yeah. The pick 6 that decided the game essentially. Just ugh.
Do you bench him?
I think you consider it, really.
Yeah, it's getting.
They got
interesting.
Minnesota on the road this week. I think you let them start that for the revenge game. But if that doesn't go well, I think you might be considering it against who do they have after that? Is it the Raiders?
Let me look at their schedule real quick. They have. Oh wait, no, hang on, I have the wrong team pulled up.
Nice one.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, it is the Raiders after that.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think
you give him the chance against Minnesota, but not after that.
even keeping the like revenge game like subplot out of it, like Brian Flores' crazy defenses that he's been throwing at players is not what you want to chuck your rookie quarterback into.
Also fair.
But I mean,
Or
this
this
is
game.
2 really ugly Kirk Cousins games in a row. He hasn't thrown a touchdown since week 9 against the Cowboys. Since then, he's thrown 6 interceptions and no touchdowns.
Which, to be fair, 4 of those did come in that one game.
Yeah.
I would also like to point out that Kyle Pitts has once again disappeared from the offense. He was targeted only twice in this entire game, did not catch either of them, and was only targeted 3 times when they lost to the Broncos a couple weeks ago. So he has only 5 targets in his last 2 games.
To put that in
again, the
perspective,
number 4 pick 3 years ago.
Yeah. Charlie Werner had 1 catch for 5 yards, and I asked the question, who the fuck is Charlie Werner?
Yeah, him.
6th round pick out of Georgia in 2020, apparently.
Huh.
Interesting.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a kind of game too where like Justin Herbert's numbers aren't awesome, but they really didn't have to do much because they were just getting the ball with short fields like every single drive it seemed like. And much like another team that we'll talk about later, like the Falcons are in a really unenviable situation with their kicker as well because it has not been a good season for Young Wei Koo.
No.
And if it's a kicker who is just an ordinary kicker, you cut him, right? But he has such a great reputation and a great record that you're kind of stuck with him because you can't cut him because then he's going to go somewhere else and probably get his mojo back. But sticking with him might not be the call either.
Yeah.
So
I think it's at some point they're gonna have to cut their losses and let him end the season early. Because usually when a kicker starts sputtering like this, they're usually playing through an injury.
yeah,
So I can't help but think they might have to just let him cover with that.
it almost raises the question of like, can you bench him for a week? Like, don't cut him, just sign another kicker for a week and see if that
I don't see why
helps.
not.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think there's
the
worse
Steelers
ideas
did
than that.
1 year. You can run through a revolving door of kickers if you really want. It's
Yeah.
the most expendable position in football.
Yeah.
I
As
just-
we know,
I just-
punters are so much harder to find.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all in the corner over there in Australia.
Do we? What were you gonna
I
say?
also got to say, oh, no, go ahead.
No, you can go.
No.
Okay. No, I just wanted to point out though that Bijan Robinson and Ray McLeod of all people were the only two people that kept the Falcons remotely in this game for as long as they were in it for.
Yeah.
Shout out to him though. He's been doing a pretty good job in Atlanta so far.
He has.
He's bounced around a lot, but I think he's kind of found his niche with the Falcons.
He's kind of turning into like another Cordarrelle Patterson to me.
Yeah.
Just like a Swiss Army knife kind of guy that can do pretty much anything you ask him to do. I hope it goes well for him.
Yeah.
Same. Steven, what were you gonna say?
I honestly don't remember.
Go ahead.
Oh, it was about the Chargers. Chargers are starting to scare me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
They're a good
they're
team.
they're not putting up those crazy numbers right now, but like this whole vision that Harbaugh has for this team is really coming into picture.
Yeah.
Um,
That
God, I feel
defense
like-
is starting to gel together. They're starting to get really.
Yeah,
it genuinely feels like they score 17 points every week.
yeah. Back to that whole points thing. The Chargers have allowed 36 fewer points than any other team in the AFC this year,
That is wild.
and they're
Wow.
15 clear of the Lions for the second least in the NFL. Like this team is legit.
God damn.
Like through 12 games, have still not allowed 200 points. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it honestly kind of snuck up on me, like how good they have been on defense. So
And they're
Um,
like, I think they are 9th in the AFC in points scored. So about the total opposite of where the Bengals are right now. Where
yeah.
it turns out a great defense does get you further.
Oh yeah. So things looking up in LA, not looking great in ATL. On to Foxborough.
Oi. The Pats came close, but they again found a way to put a damper on an otherwise very good day. The defense had a chance to make a signature stop, but instead Anthony Richardson put the Colts on top. A gutsy call from Steichen worked out for Indy's team, and the Pats' tank for a top pick is now full steam as the Colts squeezed by the Patriots 25-24. And if the head coach of Georgia Tech happens to listen to this podcast, this is why you go for 2. Fuck!
I thought your entire intro was just gonna be oi.
I considered it. I was writing out the intros for these games, and I originally for the Pats one I just had "existence is pain" about 26 times. I was just gonna say it over and over again.
So this game gave you like the full Anthony Richardson experience because
It did.
you have the signature stat line of a 50% completion percentage and barely 100 yards, and also 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and also a game-winning 2-point conversion scramble.
Oh,
Call that the sampler.
Yeah.
but like, this is probably the most invested I've been in a little bit for this year. Like watching them go down the field, I'll just jump right to the end. And having the Patriots have the Colts on 4th and goal with 17 seconds left, and it's like, if you make a single fucking stop, you can walk out of here with a win and make us all happy. And they had to let them score and get the fucking 2-point conversion to win the fucking game. But-
Oh god.
But silver lining here to all of this is that the Patriots were eliminated from playoff contention as a result of losing. So the crazy hope and dream for that can now be laid to rest for this year. And now we could just tank for a better pick and not have to worry about anything else. And that's cool.
Wait, are they the first team eliminated from the playoffs?
The
Oh, never mind.
Giants and the Raiders and the Jags are also out after the
Oh,
sweep.
okay.
It's us 4.
Damn, I've not been keeping up with that. Yeah. Also, got to mention. So, despite giving up that score with 12 seconds left in the game, they almost got back to field goal range, and then Gerard Mayo had Joey Sly attempt a 68-yarder, and it ended up being short. I haven't seen how
it was
close
very
he was.
close.
Yeah.
But the biggest bitch about that, though, honestly, like, you could make the argument that there'd be a better chance for them to score if they had Drake May go out there for a Hail Mary. But I did not hate that decision at all. I really didn't. But the part that sucks the most is they were up, I think, 16-14 right at the half, and they had a chance to go up 19-14, and Joey Sly missed from 25.
Ugh.
He shanked it wide left from 25 yards. And if he had made that, instead of the Colts scoring to tie the game, that would have been a 10-point margin, and the Colts would have had the onside kick to try to score again with 17 seconds left. They would have probably won the game had that kick gone in.
God, this has been such a dichotomous year for kickers because we've had so many inexplicable short misses like that. And then you also have guys like Brandon Aubrey who are just like drilling 63-yarders, like no problem.
Well, Joey Sly set the Patriots franchise record this year. He hit that 63-yarder against the 49ers.
Yeah.
No other Patriots ever kicked a field goal that long, and then you miss from 25. What the fuck?
Yep.
How?
But yeah, like, and you kind of touched on it already, but like I was mentioning, like, this loss obviously hurts if you're a Patriots fan, but at the same time, you can look at it like, we have the guy at quarterback, and we're going to get a really good player to pair with him in the draft this year. But yeah, you want to win games.
but also another game of just awful fucking penalties, because I think the O-line had 5 penalties in the first half again. They just keep doing it to themselves every single week. And even though they missed the field goal, it's just undisciplined football that at the end of the day is sinking them in every single game. And that to me is still the most frustrating part, is that if they just could cut down on the penalties alone, nothing else in their gameplay except for penalties themselves, they'd probably have 2 more wins.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is the most frustrating part about all of it is, yeah, the defense has been bad in some games. Yeah, the offense has been lackluster in some areas. But it's the mistakes that are self-inflicted that should be rectified in practice that aren't and are instead fucking you over in the game.
It's just still weird to have a team coached by a Belichick disciple that's this undisciplined. Yeah.
Ugh.
So.
Yeah. And now I hadn't seen a Patriots team lose 10 or more games since the year I was born, and now it's happened in back-to-back years.
It's the first time for everything.
The last time they lost 10 or more games in back-to-back years was from 1989 to 1993.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that 90 season is especially a bad one, too.
Yeah.
And on the Colts side of this, like, this win
Huge
basically kept the playoff race of just the entire AFC alive, because we're looking at right now, the Colts are, 2 games back of the Broncos right now. If they lose, they're 3 back with, 5 to play.
And they're only 2 back of Houston in the division now, too.
Yeah. The South is not undecided yet. I think this could go down to the wire.
Just like last year.
Yeah. So you never know. As the Texans have not really turned out as well as everyone thought they could be. But
more on them later.
More, yeah.
It has never been this May over.
And on that note,
Hellmans or Dukes?
Oh, Dukes, all the way.
Mayonnaise doesn't get old. It just becomes Miracle Whip.
Miracle Whip fucking sucks.
That's facts.
You know who else sucks? The Tennessee Titans on to Washington. Oh God, where is it? There it is. The traditional narrative with Cliff Kingsbury. I had 6 games this week, alright? Cut me some slack. The traditional narrative with Cliff Kingsbury's offense is that they don't always start out hot. Or they always start out hot and fade as the season goes on. He can't adapt. He doesn't change, they all say, including us. We'll put that narrative to bed as the juniors, Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez, sliced through a strong Titans defense for 197 yards on the ground, with Jaden Daniels and Jeremy McNichols adding 30 more yards each. A strong game by Will Levis was all for naught, as Daniels added 3 scores through the air too, as our team, the Commanders, get fully back on track with a dominating 42-19 win over the Titans.
How did the Patriots lose to this team? Oh, this was a bloodbath by the middle of the second quarter. This was bad.
Well, it's like what I mentioned, is the Titans' offense was not even that bad in this game. Like, Will Levis has played pretty well the last few weeks. Minus the back-to-back fumble drives, but we won't talk about that. One of them was on special teams. But yeah, this was an absolute bloodbath.
So on the season, right, through the 12 games the Titans have played this year, Nick Westbrook-Akine has only 20 receptions through those 12 games, and he has 8 touchdowns.
Wow.
Every
like,
third catch of his is going for a touchdown.
It's like Austin Eckler a few years ago with the Chargers, where they just gave him the ball like every single drive at the 2-yard line and he would score. And so he had like an absurd number of touchdowns, but not very many yards.
The Jerome Bettis special.
Yeah, he's only had more than 61 yards once this year, but he's had a touchdown in 7 of his last 8 games. And so that's every game since the Colts game. Through the first 4 games of the year, he hadn't even been targeted a single time.
Good God.
He was a no-show through the first 4 weeks of the year, and now he is tied for 4th in the league for touchdown catches.
That is a truly absurd stat line.
This team makes no sense.
No. But yeah, on the Commander side, like, all of those talks of like, oh, they don't adapt or whatever. I can't remember if I mentioned it last week, but there was the stat where Terry McLaurin in the game against, I think it was the Cowboys. It was either the Cowboys or the Steelers. Terry McLaurin lined up in the same spot almost like 90% of the time and never was once in motion. And they just completely eliminated him from that game. And completely different this game, like a much more dynamic offensive attack. And like just put all of those doubts to bed. Like Cliff Kingsbury used the year or 2 that he was away from the league very well, and he's, evolving, it seems like, as the offensive coordinator of this team. And just when it seemed like the commies were kind of fading, all of a sudden they do this to a bad team, and it's like, all right, back on track.
There's your get right game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they needed this.
100%.
I can't believe you assholes let me pick the fucking Titan this week.
That wasn't my fault.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
trying to
buddy.
win, so.
All right, buddy.
Nobody look at the teams that fucked me this week. Why did I pick the Bengals? Yeah, and on the other side, like the whole goal of the Titans this year really seems to like to be figure out if Will Levis is a guy, and if he plays like this, he's got a future.
I think he's bought himself another year or 2.
Yeah,
I think you stack more talent around him, and you get a better line. And I honestly think this team could be a wild card team. Tony Pollard has what it takes. It's just that O-line is atrocious. He can't go no.
Yeah. I have Will Levis in the same box that I do Aiden O'Connell. I get a very similar vibe from both of them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, especially if he's not, making any chest passes or the thing he tried to like roll the ball across the ground.
God.
Yeah, he's firmly handed the funniest quarterback torch back to Jameis Winston, which can't wait to talk about that game.
Dude.
But yeah, so the Titans aren't going anywhere this season.
No.
Somehow they're not eliminated from playoff contention, which I was surprised for. But
Huh.
a big reason for that is what happened down in Jacksonville this week.
The Texans beat the Jags 23-20. Joe Mixon continues to pound the rock as God intended, rushing for 101 yards and a touchdown, while Nico Collins has his first truly good game since coming back from injury. For Jacksonville, Brian Thomas and Parker Washington haul in a touchdown apiece, but it was too little too late to take down Houston. Unfortunately, we need to talk about the obvious in this game. In the second quarter, Trevor Lawrence got turned into a 90-Euclidean shape after a late slide. Aziz Al-Shahir's forearm found its way into T-Law's brain lobe, knocking both of them out of the game and landing Al-Shahir an additional 3-game suspension. It's far from the first time we've seen something like this happen, and it might be time to reevaluate how quarterbacks are treated as runners. Ban the slide.
That is one of the most brutal hits I've ever seen in a game.
Easily.
Yeah.
Here's my reasoning.
Okay.
Defenders are taught to aim for the legs, and then the quarterback is taught to get low to avoid getting hit. But the defender is aiming low, and the quarterback is putting their head in a low spot. And they're just asking for things like this to happen when there's a missed time, as in going down late or being a piece of shit and trying to knock out a quarterback from the game. I think quarterbacks need to learn to take the hit or run out of bounds at this point.
Well, I mean, the problem with trying to take the hit is, like, you're trying to not fuck up your shoulder, which is what makes everybody wince whenever, like, Anthony Richardson tries to lay the wood on somebody. But yeah, it's tough. I don't know if I agree with banning the slide, but like, it's yeah, that is one of the most brutal, like, dirty hits I've ever seen. And it's pretty damning too when he literally threw a punch at somebody earlier in the game and was still in it after that.
Mhm.
Like, and hasn't been doing
it's a reffing
himself
problem.
Yeah, and he hasn't been doing himself any favors with his Instagram posts since then.
That hit reminded me of the one by Kiko Alonso on Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the
That's the most
Bridgewater
direct
hit.
comparison I can make to this.
Yeah. Well, and the worst part about it too is he's, like, literally weaponizing the elbow brace that he has on to just, like, clock him in the face. Obviously there are, we've talked about it a lot with, like, the roughing the passer calls of it's hard to defy physics. But in this situation, like, there's intent. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Should have been out of the game to begin with, and
Yeah.
should have gotten more games than he did, honestly.
Yeah,
Evan Engram is a real one, by the way. I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of the Jaguars player that got ejected too, because there was one that got thrown out. But him and Evan Engram were real as fuck for the way that they went over and stood up for Trevor Lawrence like that. Even with how tough of a season this has been for the Jags,
Yeah.
like, that's still their guy through thick and thin, and I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, really put a damper on what was a pretty good Trevor Lawrence game. Or not Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones game.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? That was legit, like, one of his best games since probably the beginning of 2022, just out of nowhere. And
like,
they
suddenly
almost came back and won it for them.
Yeah, he remembered how to play again.
Thanks.
Yeah, and again, like, this is one of those reasons where, like, I know they're 2-10, but I almost feel like I can't fully quit the Jags. I don't think they're obviously not going anywhere.
No.
And Doug Peterson is mostly done. But, like, look at how many one-score losses they have this year.
They also did this without Gabe Davis and without Christian Kirk. Like, this was Mac Jones and Parker Washington that did this.
Yeah. Also,
and, like,
I just
don't
counted
think anybody heard of Parker Washington before this year.
8 of their 10 losses are one-score games, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. So this has been such a frustrating Jags season. Everybody's like, and that is the thing that makes me think it does come down to coaching. Is like, if you keep losing by one score, like, there's a common denominator. This team has talent.
Same situation as the Bears, because I think Eberflus has like the worst one-score record of any coach ever. I think, if I remember that right. I can't imagine Doug Peterson's too far behind with how this year's gone.
I was gonna say there's got to be some Chargers coaches that are right up there with him.
Oh,
But yeah, and I mean on the Texans side, like this is it's already been a messy season. They're not bad, they're just disappointing, and this game doesn't help, especially not just the Trevor Lawrence thing, but a pretty sloppy game. CJ Stroud does not look like he did last year. We got more out of Joe Mixon finally in this game, but things don't look good for this Texans team right now.
This was Nico Collins' first good game. This is his first game cracking 100 yards since he came back. So I think having neither of your top 2 wide receivers for a stretch is going to make your team bad, but I think he's going to start turning a corner at some point.
Well, they need to get Tank Dell and John Mechie more involved. And they really haven't been. Because they drafted John Mechie relatively high. I think he was a second round pick a couple years ago. Like, the talent was clearly there for him, and he just really hasn't been able to display it yet. Save for one game.
Yeah, so it's been a frustrating season, and like we were mentioning, this AFC South is still wide open with the Colts kind of hanging around, and the Texans still seem like they could be on the brink of collapse. Also, they haven't had their bye week yet, have they?
Yeah, this upcoming week is the last week of buys.
Oh my gosh,
like, week 14's awfully late for a bye.
Yeah,
there's like 6 teams on bye this week.
That is absurd. So
yeah.
So yeah, the AFC South still up for grabs, and another division that got right up for grabs again is the NFC South as well. 9 weeks ago, the Panthers sent Bryce Young to the bench just 18 games into his career. This seemed like an early end to a disastrous stint in Charlotte. Fast forward to week 13, and Bryce Young has risen like a phoenix to the tune of 298 passing yards and a clutch touchdown throw to Adam Thielen with the 30 seconds remaining to put his Panthers up 3. What he didn't account for, though, was another Panthers quarterback alum who has also experienced his own Phoenix rise, as a hobbled Baker Mayfield scrambled for a first down to set up a game-tying field goal. In overtime, aided by a Chuba Hubbard fumble, Baker once again led his Bucs on another field goal drive to guide the Tampa Bay team past their surging rivals and draw even with the Falcons for the NFC South crown. I think I've said this exact same thing a few times already, but this is why you don't quit on a player. Because this is maybe the 3rd or 4th game in a row that Bryce Young was genuinely great. And he hit like that, what should have been game-winning touchdown drive at the end of this game was money.
This was the 2nd most passing yards in his career in this game. Like, he was genuinely really, really good. And Adam Thielen coming back has also been huge for that offense.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he has been Bryce Young's number 1 target since he came back from injury. And I think the 2 of them, now that they're back on the same page, again, they're 3-9. They're not going anywhere this year. But, like, there's a little bit of a spark there, maybe.
Yeah, there's something to build around. And like you meant, dude, the catch that Thielen made in overtime, just ridiculous. I like physically sunk into my chair when that happened, because I won't lie, I'm rooting for the Bucs hardcore right now. And as like happy as I am for the Bryce Young Panthers experience, I was just like, God damn it, because there's something about this Panthers defense that gives Baker fits, because they played the Bucs like really tight last year in both games, and the Bucs were bad on offense against the Panthers then, and they forced a lot of mistakes out of Baker in this game.
They did, but that fumble in overtime by Chuba Hubbard was fucking brutal.
That was heartbreaking.
Oh. Yeah, not brutal as in just a bad football play, just brutal as in just an absolute gut punch morally.
Yeah, especially since they were right in field goal range and, just trying to make it an easier kick for Eddie Pinheiro. And then all of a sudden the ball's free and Yaya Diaby picks it up. And then, Baker drives him right down the field, game-winning field goal. But yeah, I mean, the Bucks flirted with disaster this whole game. Baker had 2 interceptions. Got his ankle stepped on at one point, and it looked nasty.
He had a Kyle Trask appearance in this game.
Yeah. But the thing that we've definitely learned from watching Baker Mayfield is this dude is impossible to keep out of the game. Because and it almost looked like he should have stayed out, because he comes back in and he looked like visibly uneasy in the pocket like all night. And his first play back from having to sit out and get his ankle checked out, he throws an interception. And after that, he just seemed different. It's like he calmed down after that. And when it came down to overtime, he was up for the task. And I mean, that 30-second field goal drive after that. Like, this was a game that after the way the first 3 quarters had gone, they had no business winning, and especially with how good the Panthers were playing. And all of a sudden, the Bucks are tied with the Falcons for the division lead.
Yeah, quick 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Gone just like that.
Yeah. But yeah, like I left this game obviously like being happy as a Bucks fan, but also like I can't help but be happy for Panthers fans, even as much as this loss sucks. Like, Bryce Young might be a guy after all.
I hope
It's-
so.
It's a loss, but it's a loss they shouldn't feel bad about, because this season's a wash anyway. It's only going to help them in the draft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he did when he was benched, but Bryce Young actually looks good now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
I really, really hope that he can become that guy, because it would be a damn shame, and we've talked about it in length before, for the Panthers to go through all of that just to get completely hosed at the end of it. So I hope they can get something out of it and at least have him there competing for a couple years. But back to the flip side, though, Bucky Irving is a dog.
Dude,
Oh yeah.
Oh my
my
god.
like,
Diamond
might
in the rough.
be. Yeah, I was gonna say might
Steal
be
of the draft,
contender
baby.
for offensive rookie of the year at this rate. Like, dude is so goddamn good. Has a huge run. I think was it in the overtime drive, or was it on? Yeah, it was the 38-yard run.
Yeah.
In overtime, just what a steal. So, yeah, I don't know if I have much else to say about it.
Mike Evans was good again.
Yeah. So slowly
Had a-
getting healthy again.
Yep.
They
Good
kind
for
of
them.
did this same thing last year too, where they went into a slump in the middle of the year and then got healthy and got hot, slipped into the playoffs, and then ruined the Eagles' season. So you never know what can happen again. So
Panthers oddly had a career game out of Tommy Tremble in this game too. Like, he only had 77 yards, but this is his 4th year, and that was the most yards he's had in a game in his career. Like, there's promise with this team.
yeah. I mean, yeah, the Adam Thielen thing really hasn't worked out much, and this was like one of the first games where he really looked like his prime, like Vikings form again. So
Yeah, and
'cause
Juba
he's-
Hubbard is 6th in the league at rushing.
yeah, I mean, he's been great for them too. And all of a sudden, like, Thielen was visibly frustrated with Bryce Young earlier this season, and now all of a sudden they're working great together. So it's cool
Look
to
at
see.
that.
Yeah, maybe not the only rise from the ashes we've seen this season, as Minnesota's got their own one going right now.
The Cardinals rolling in Minnesota for an NFC matchup with crucial playoff implications on both sides. The first half was a field goal mid-off between Chad Ryland and John Parker Romo. but the second half featured an offensive explosion, including touchdowns from rookie Marvin Harrison Jr., some guy named Johnny Munt, and a last-minute Vikings rush from Aaron Jones. Now it's time for Kyler Murray to put together a career-defining drive down the field to win the game. Never mind, he threw it in a double coverage, picked, ball game. Go back to Warzone, little bro. Vikings 23, Cardinals 22.
The Vikings feel like the fakest 10-2 team of all time.
Demonstrably not true.
Yeah, what about the Vikings 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Fuck, you're right.
Well, the big thing was the Cardinals could not finish a drive in this game.
No.
They kicked, I think it was like 5 field goals within the red zone in this game.
Chad Round was 5 of 6 in this game. Yeah.
Yeah. And they only scored 1 touchdown in this game, and it ends up biting them. But this was, if ever there was an example of why taking the points isn't always the best option, this was the game that showed it off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if the Cardinals, they finish one of those drives, all of a sudden we're looking at them like, all right, they're legit,
and they lost the
just can't
division
get
lead
over
they
that
built up.
What was that, Steven?
They just can't get over that hump.
No.
Nope.
And this is, I think, 2 weeks in a row now that they've kind of had this where they keep getting down the field and they just can't finish these drives out. So it's a little concerning. I think, especially with the fact that Kyler Murray is like designed to be a red zone threat. So I'm not hitting the panic button on them yet, because they're still obviously in the divisional race with the Seahawks, and it seems like nobody really wants to pull away in the NFC West. But it's still to be determined. On the other side, like, honestly, I think the Vikings are even more legit after this. Like,
they can
Sam
win
Darnold
ugly.
Yes, and Sam Darnold has cleaned up his act after a few like really rough games with turnovers, and has just been killing it recently.
Yeah, 3rd straight game without a pick for him, and he's still 4th in the NFL in passing touchdowns. He will
really
be getting
noticed.
paid this offseason.
They've won 5 straight.
Yeah.
They won 5, dropped 2, and then won another 5.
They're a game back of the Lions. And
Only game ahead of the Packers still somehow.
Yeah, they're
all
they're
right
still
there.
Like, the Vikings are still in the hunt for the number 1 seed right now. It's crazy.
With a quarterback tandem of Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones.
As we all expected.
Yeah. Daniel Jones going to the playoffs probably this year. Also, just a fun little stat anomaly that I appreciate is you have Cam Akers, Sam Darnold, and Aaron Jones all ran for 22 yards. It's kind of funny. I like when stuff like that pops up onto the box score. Yeah, I don't know if I have much else to say.
Well, we can't exit this game without the Greg Dortch update.
Oh shit, that's right. Hang on.
Cause he is Greg George, Short King, proud of Glendale's football team, scoring all the touchdowns for you, punt return man, kickoffs too, he's Greg Dortch.
I might have to make a new one because we keep getting copyright claimed, and fucking Creed keeps disputing rejecting my disputes. I've seen you live, Creed. Come on. Greg Dortch had 2 receptions for 1 yard. I also had a carry for 6 yards, so he's really picking it up on the ground there. 6 yards carry. Give him the ball more. That's
just
efficient.
run under him.
Yeah. And then had... Wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. How does he have 0 punt returns for 5 yards?
You're looking at it. Well, on my screen, it says he has 2 punt returns for 10 yards and 1 kickoff return for 26 yards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
NFL Network or NFL.com website is not working well. But anyway, that was the Greg Dortch update.
That was Cardinals Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we head down to the Big Easy. One week removed from a frustrating loss to the Eagles, Matt Stafford and the Rams found themselves in a hole again, this time to the Saints. Down 6-0, Sean McVay rallied his troops to come out of halftime firing with a 70-yard touchdown drive to take the lead that they would never give up. 2 more scores in the fourth quarter made sure the Rams handed the Rizzler, Darren Rizzi, his first loss as head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Now back to 500. The Rams are still afloat in the hotly contested race for the NFC West.
Division makes no fucking sense.
It really doesn't.
What are we doing, man?
The best part too is they're knowing how playoff bullshit goes. Whoever wins this division is gonna win a playoff game. Like
It
Oh,
definitely has that
absolutely.
vibe to it.
gonna knock off like the goddamn Vikings or something. Yeah, but the biggest story from this game, which was such a bummer, was Taysom Hill leaving with what's later found to be a season-ending injury. And considering his age and his contract situation, might be the last time we see him as a Saint too, which is kind of a bummer.
Or in general.
Yeah, hopefully
I
not.
don't-
But yeah,
I don't think it'll be the last time he plays in the league, but it might be the last time with him on the Saints, though. Yeah.
That would not surprise me. Just being that old, I think it's time the Saints fix their cap, and they're gonna end up like block. It's
yeah,
like
and
we're starting to see those gadget guys take off more often. So I think he could find a niche elsewhere.
Yeah, him and Alvin Kamara seem to be like the last two from like the Breeze era team. So like in a way, it's almost closing like the last door on what was for them, and they can finally turn to what will be for them, no matter how it looks.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like this offseason you're gonna see some guys like Cam Jordan maybe
Yeah,
make a move to try to jump onto a
or
contender.
Demario Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and Kamara's weird too because they signed him to an extension like midway through this season. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's a sign and trade. We'll see. But yeah, unfortunately, I mean they've gotten back on track after that 7-game losing streak. But yeah, this team is definitely not going anywhere.
No.
On the Rams side, Kyron Williams, pretty goddamn good, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing I think nobody was really ready for, though, is that Puka has already replaced Cooper Kupp as, like, their number one guy. Because it really seemed like it was like, oh, they're going to be 1-2, and Cooper Kupp's kind of faded into the background a little bit. So, just an interesting thing to keep up on as this season goes on. So,
Marquez Valdez-Scantling got another touchdown as well. That dude's lighting it up.
he's
Again,
I don't
scored
get it.
touchdowns in 3 games.
Again, didn't even know he was on the Saints.
He
I was-
signed
We've
there
talked
a
about
month
him the
ago.
last 3 weeks.
I know, but when you said that, my mind immediately went to like, oh yeah, he's on the Rams, and I was like, no, he's on the Saints, and I'm like, oh yeah, duh. Goddamn.
Yeah,
touchdown
he,
catching machine.
He has more touchdown catches in 4 games with the Saints than he had receptions in 6 games with the Bills this year.
That's ridiculous.
Damn.
Oh god, I forgot Jamal Williams is on the Saints.
Oh
Free my
yeah.
man. Come on, Saints. What are we doing here? Yeah, I'm still sheepish on the Rams. Ayo. Didn't even realize what I just did there.
No
because-
different than the rest of the division, though. Really.
Yeah, they just seem like they can wildly flip from like this is a fun competitive team that can go toe to toe with anybody, and then they play the Dolphins and just get rolled, and it's like fucking what? I don't know what the solution for the Rams is. I really don't. They're very weird.
It's honestly just going to be more talent. You know, we talked
Yeah.
about this early in the season. There's probably still reeling from losing Aaron Donald. You know, it's
Yeah.
going to take a while for them to find a group of guys that can replace him. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
going to take time to fix that roster, just like they are with the Saints.
They need like who's their like lead tight end? Do they even like? I'm trying to think of who it is.
Well, they had Tyler Higbee, but he's been out. He's missed the entire season so far because he got
Yeah.
hurt last year.
Colby Parkinson.
Never even heard of the guy.
Yeah,
I think he was on the Seahawks before.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so
He's
I don't know.
kind of like the fifth option. They
Yeah.
just don't really use a tight end. Honestly, nobody does at this point.
Really, just the Raiders
Yeah.
and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Brock
Even
Bowers
then,
is
the
just
Chiefs
that
don't
good.
use him that much. So.
So I
yeah.
think Austin Hooper might have the most touchdown catches on the Patriots this year. So
God, I
Freiermuth
forgot
got
he was on
one
the Patriots.
this
just a
week.
couple weird ones.
I don't know. It's a weird position because in a way it's the glue of the team, but there's never any good ones.
They just
Yeah,
don't
there's-
always
there's-
put the stats up.
I was gonna say there's usually like one or two that are like transcendent, and then the rest are just kind of invisible.
Yeah.
It's weird. So, speaking of weird, the Seahawks never play a normal game of football, and neither do the Jets. So let's wrap up our NFC West discussion and head to MetLife Stadium.
Geno Smith came to MetLife with revenge on his mind and led a Seahawks comeback that put the Jets in a bind. Down 21-7 and needing a spark, Leonard Williams showed up and made the Jets' dim hopes dark. A big win for Seattle, but on the other sideline, another demoralizing loss sends them to 3-9. Jets fans are pissed, and for a very good reason. Jets just end their season as the Jets blow a 21-7 lead and lose to the Seahawks 26-21. GET space FUCKED.
Jets. The fucking
Get fucked.
the goddamn Seahawks fumbled not one but two kickoffs in the first half, and also gave up a goddamn 99-yard kick return touchdown. And you lost.
You love to see it, man.
What are we? So, the defining moment of this game is the Jets are up 21-7. Or wait, no, do I have that right?
Yeah, it was 21-7.
21-7, and they're about to go into half, and down basically on the goal line, and Aaron Rodgers throws a 92-yard pick six.
To Leonard Williams, of all people.
Yeah, former Jets first-round pick, Leonard Williams.
And then the extra point got blocked.
Yeah. Because the Seahawks refuse to play normal football. And then the Jets don't score again for the rest of the game. And the Seahawks come all the way back, and the Jets blow another goddamn game.
Good. This is saw a stat from Doug Clawson on Twitter on Sunday. This was the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career that he lost a home game with a 14-point lead.
Wow.
He was 75-0 at Lambeau and MetLife in his career with a 14-point lead, including the playoffs, and he blew this one and lost.
Just finding new and innovative ways to fuck up.
The Jets are also the first team in the Super Bowl era to be favored in 9 of their first 12 games and be 3-9 or worse.
Oh, God.
No other 3-9 team had ever been favored in 8 of their first 12, let alone 9.
What a fucking failure, man.
It just gets funnier.
It's every week. I just can't, like, I keep thinking, like, maybe this will be the week that they finally figure it out. And they just don't. They just keep doing the same thing every week.
I hope they keep doing it. I really do.
Oh, they should.
This team was 2-1. Like we back in week 3, right? We were talking all about how they had gotten out 25 years of frustration out of the Patriots, and it was like, wow, this team is 2-1. They might be legit. They might be able to make the playoffs this year, and they have gone 1-8 since.
And so many of them have been like
Just
one-score
stupid.
losses, right? You know, you have the missed field goal against the Broncos. You have the Aaron Rodgers interception when you have the Vikings on the ropes. You have the collapse against the Buffalo Bills. You have
collapse against the Patriots.
You have
Getting shut
last
out in the second half against the Steelers.
Yeah, you have last week against the Colts where you have the lead and all you have to do is pick up a 4th down, and instead they kick a field goal and then give up a game-winning touchdown drive. And like so many of these games too, it's games where it's, hey, Aaron Rodgers has the ball back with a minute left and a timeout in his pocket, and we just need him to be Aaron Rodgers, and then he doesn't fucking do it. It's unbelievable how much of a failure this season is.
He might actually be washed. I never thought we'd see today.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like an average quarterback, which is not what they paid for.
Including doubts that he might not be back next year.
Yeah.
You know what? It just goes to show, once again, that nobody is better than Tom Brady because he's this washed at 41, which for a quarterback is perfectly normal, and for any athlete is perfectly normal, while he won Super Bowl MVP at the age of 43. Suck my ass.
I can't believe the Jets are making me like a Tom Brady sympathizer.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah.
That's been the silver lining for this entire year. Is as bad as the Patriots have looked, the Jets have been in lockstep with them every step of the way, and and it's made me enjoy this season more than I thought I would.
Yep.
It's been a fun ride.
Big shout out to Hassan Reddick. Ended his holdout. He has half a sack and a total of, hang on, let me get the total real quick. 6 tackles.
Wow. And how
All
many
season.
games?
4 games.
Fucking oh no, 5.
5, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Fucking
6
Christ.
tackles. He's getting his tackle and then he's clocking out for the day.
Only 3 of those tackles are solo too.
Yeah, he
3
actually has
solo
half
tackles.
a sack.
Yeah,
God.
in 5 games.
Oh. What if he accepted a holdout just to play the absolute bare minimum? He's honestly just playing for a paycheck.
Yeah. You know what? I don't blame him. I don't want to be on the jet. I don't want to have to hang out with Aaron Rodgers. Are you kidding me?
I would do the same thing.
Yeah. So.
Oh man. What a massive, massive win for the Seahawks though, because now they're a game clear of both the Rams and the Cardinals.
Yeah, and really turned their season around too. Because remember, they started at 3-0, then lost 3 in a row, and just kind of been floating around. And then all of a sudden,
now they've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is this team leading the division, man? The NFC West is ridiculous.
Because it's goddamn Geno season. That's how.
They've got 3 really tough games coming up though that are going to make or
do.
break their year. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. So, Seahawks get up to 7-5. The Jets somehow still in playoff contention and not eliminated at 3-9. Also clinched their, I believe it's their 8th consecutive losing season. So
yes,
way to go.
They have not been above 500 since 2015 when they had Ryan Fitzpatrick and Todd Bowles.
That game.
Man,
I still remember watching that Christmas game and watching him throw an overtime game-winning touchdown to put them at 10-5, and I was like, holy shit, they're doing it. And then they blew it against the Bills in week 17.
Gotta love it.
Yep. JETS, just end the suffering.
No, actually don't.
Keep it going.
It's fun. Keep it going.
Yeah. on to Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens seem to have it all. Lamar Jackson, the best dual-threat quarterback in the league, dazzling defenses with his lightning-quick speed and endless arm talent to punish you through the air. When finesse won't get it done, they send Derrick Henry, the 6'3" behemoth of a running back, to punish any and all who dare stand in his path to the end zone. And if that doesn't work, Baltimore possesses Justin Tucker, the greatest kicker in NFL history, holding the records for longest field goal and highest accuracy of all time. Tucker missed 2 of his 4 field goal attempts, as well as an extra point, and the Eagles defeated the Ravens 24-19, dropping the Birds from Baltimore to 8-5. Oh,
Yeah,
guys.
you know it's a bad year for kickers when the most accurate kicker of all time is even struggling.
Justin Tucker might be washed. I never thought it would happen.
Yes, he is 39th in the league this year for field goal percentage. There are 32 teams.
Oh,
Yeah, it's concerning. Officially hitting the panic button on Justin Tucker. It was originally pointed at the commies, now it's pointed at him. And it's pointed a little bit at the Ravens, because much like what we were talking about with Younghoe Koo, like, when you have somebody that great, you're kind of held hostage by this situation.
Yeah.
And like we were mentioning, like, if ever there were a case to sign a backup and bench him for a week to, like, try to let him get his confidence back, this would be it, because it's not good.
I think you need to bench him. I just think you need to sign somebody and elevate him for the game, but keep him as the backup just to say, hey, just to let you know, if you keep this up, this is what you got looking forward to in the future.
now they do have their bye this week. So whatever's ailing him could get out of this system, or it might just be the new him. It's really going to depend on what happens this week. But his career field goal percentage, season per season, has never been under 80% his entire time in the league. This year it's at 70.
Which is bad for a kicker.
It's very concerning. And it you can even see it, obviously, like, in his body language and everything, too.
He's kind of rattled.
Also, hang on. I'm on NFL.com. I'm looking at his stats. They don't know how percentage works, because it so it shows his season by season stats, and then it totals it up all at the bottom. According to NFL.com, do you want to know what his career field goal percentage is?
What is it?
It's 1,282.4%. Because it doesn't average it out, it just adds them all up. And that's not how percentage works.
I'm no expert, but I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. So if he's making 12 field goals every time he kicks a field goal, I'm pretty sure that is the highest accuracy of all time. So.
Well, clearly he must have had the multiplier on when he was kicking.
Yeah, the score multiplier.
Yeah,
Kicking a field goal to go up 36.
Yeah, 36 point field. Yeah. Imagine if we put that in the game, we'd have so many scoregamis every week, it'd be nuts.
Seriously. Just
Why
add
aren't we
more
funding
points
this?
to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Add the Rouge, by the way.
Yeah,
If the MLB can go around and do that golden bat bullshit, then yeah, the NFL can go and do the multiplier. Fuck it,
Just
why not?
Gimmick
Let's
it up.
dilute
Why
every
not?
sport now.
See, I think there should be like a sliding scale for field goals based on what yard you kick it from. So
That's
you can
real.
score like 8.3 points in a drive. Like we
Well, I don't
need
even-
decimals.
Well, I don't even know about decimals, but like, I think if it's like 29 yards or shorter, it's worth 2. Like 30 to 39, you get 3. 40 to 49, 4, and so on and so forth. Like if you hit a 60-yard field goal, yeah, I think that should be worth 6 fucking points. It's like a 3-pointer in the NBA. You shoot it from further back, you get more points. Why
Can you
not do that with
imagine
field goals?
a situation where a team is down like 2 and they get a long completion down into the other team's red zone, but they're in the 2-point zone, and so on the next play the quarterback intentionally drops back and kneels to get them into the 3-point zone.
Okay, but that would be awesome. That adds like a whole new level of strategy and shit.
Should do that in the UFL.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Honestly.
That would be cool as fuck.
Yeah. We should implement that. We should make our own football league.
That's real. with
The
blackjack and
OFL,
hookers.
the Oofside Football League.
The OFL, yeah. You can pronounce it as awful.
It would be,
Yeah.
but it'd be
You know who's
entertaining.
not? You know who's not awful? Is Saquon
Who?
Barkley.
Dude,
Oh my
Jesus
god,
Christ.
man.
Dude.
every
I
week the
think-
Giants look dumber.
I think he might be on pace to break Eric Dickerson's record in a season. It's going to be close.
Let's take a look at what he's
If we're
having.
being real, he should be the MVP this year. It's just a shame it's a quarterback award now.
Yeah.
He's already had more
True.
yards in a season than he ever did in any other season.
Yeah, he's a yard
Saquon's
shy
high
of
was-
1,500 right now.
Saquon
and
is
his-
averaging 125 yards a game, and there's 5 games left. So that's what, 625 yards? If he averages 125 through the last 6 games, he will break Eric Dickerson's season rushing record.
His previous highest yards per game was 82 in 2022.
Good God.
And
He's already
granted-
gotten 200 more yards than he did that year.
And granted, Eric Dickerson obviously did that in a 16-game season and not a 17-game season. But even then, that is still impressive as fuck. And
What's
Oh,
the
yeah.
record?
2,105, I think.
God damn.
Yeah.
And again, sore subject with who it is, but I also want to remind that O.J. Simpson also cracked 2,000 in a 14-game season.
Yeah, and that was just the hypocrisy, you know.
Yeah. But genuinely, when the dust settles and the court cases are all decided, this could literally be one of the greatest running back seasons ever.
Oh, 100%.
Easily.
I mean, this. I just go back to last week when there was when Saquon ran for like 80 yards for a touchdown, and they just cut to the shot of Jalen Hurts just like smiling, like, this is awesome. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you only have to throw for 118 yards if you can give it to Saquon 23 times instead.
Yeah.
Why doesn't
Um,
every team have a good running back? Are they stupid?
I also want to shout out Cooper DeJean for plastering Derrick Henry at the end of this game.
Dude.
White cornerbacks rise up.
You might want
Well,
to
actually,
rephrase
no,
that.
maybe not. Maybe not like that. Maybe not like that.
No, it is funny though that like you mentioned how, like, how many years has it been since we had a starting white corner in the NFL?
A while.
Yeah.
Like 20 years? Something like that? Like,
It's
he's legit really good.
Yeah. So.
Jason Sehorn on the Giants.
Oh my
That's
God,
right.
that's right.
Yeah.
When did he last play?
2003.
So
Jesus
21 years ago.
Christ. Also,
It has been-
I
Yeah.
just found a picture of him taking down Derrick Henry. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Just turn that dude upside down. Yeah. So, very quietly, the Eagles, a complete fucking powerhouse, and are also a game behind the Lions. So don't count them out just yet. So.
Yeah, this 8 in a row after starting 2-2.
And then we wrap up the Sunday slate with another team that is a goddamn powerhouse.
The Bills beat the ever-living shit out of the 49ers 35-10 in a classic Buffalo Blizzard on Sunday night. In the third quarter, Josh Allen and Amari Cooper pull off an absolutely ridiculous lateral touchdown. And if that wasn't enough, Allen went and ran another one himself in fourth quarter. While the Bills are firing on all cylinders, 49ers continue to crumble, losing Christian McCaffrey to another leg injury. With damn near everyone on the team playing hurt, it might be time for San Francisco to punt on this year and start looking at the draft. Or maybe some new team doctors.
Josh Allen had 0 receptions for 7 yards and a touchdown.
Jerome Bettis
I gotta
stat line.
I gotta read the drive. In the third quarter. Sorry, I gotta find it. Josh Allen. Negative 2-yard pass from Josh Allen.
Touchdown.
Touchdown.
It's like a Have you guys ever seen that old, or like, the article's pretty good, but he made an edit of it. It's the Breaking Madden where it's an entire offense of Tom Brady's.
Oh yeah.
It's like Brady blocked by Brady, throws caught by Brady.
Yeah, so Josh Allen is the 4th quarterback in NFL history to have a receiving touchdown on a pass that he threw, and I believe the last one was Marcus Mariota in the playoffs.
If I recall, all the one it's Mariota, it's Brad Johnson.
Yeah, Brad Johnson.
And oh god, who's the other one? Damn, that'll have to be a piece of trivia we'll have to look up later. But yeah, like the I feel like I've said the same thing like 8 times in Discord this year, but just Josh Allen, grown ass man. Like Chris Collinsworth's reaction to the lateral touchdown is one of my favorite moments of the year because Amari Cooper laterals it to him and then he starts scrambling for the line, and as he's diving for the end zone, Chris Collinsworth's just like, no! Come on. It was so funny. Yeah, and while this was like just another ridiculous game in Josh Allen's seemingly never-ending arsenal of ridiculous games, we might have seen the end of the 49ers this year, because
they're done.
Yeah.
It's over.
I still can't believe a team this talented, despite the injuries, is where they are.
It's just weird. They just haven't got it done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but and obviously this is a snow game that, obviously affects your game plan and all of that, but like George Kittle having a single reception for 7 yards is teetering on the edge of unacceptable.
Yep. 100%.
Like, you can't have a guy that's so much of a focal point in your offense being eliminated from the game. And, like, sure, maybe they double-teamed him for a bit, but then Debo only having 4 catches for 20 yards?
Ricky Pearsall only had 1 target.
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall has gone, I think, 3 straight games now without a reception. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And they just could not sustain a drive. I mean, they missed 2 field goals in the second quarter as well, which put them down early. But it's like you mentioned, I mean, this was a game where just everything was going wrong for them. And I think the big reason why those numbers are so low is they couldn't sustain a drive. I mean, they had, like I mentioned, the 2 missed field goals. They have back-to-back fumbles in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
In the span of 2 offensive plays. Like, just brutally bad football ball protection by them at the end of this game.
And they also lost Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason in this game and for extended periods of time. So next man up, Isaac Arendo, who scored their only touchdown.
A pretty safe bet that we will not be seeing Christian McCaffrey for the rest of this year.
Yeah, they already put him on IR.
Yep.
And they put Mason on there too. So
yeah,
not great.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
The Super Bowl hangover is unfortunately real. As we see, I mean, this was basically the same thing that happened to them in 2020. So,
yep.
The Chiefs broke another one.
You can play through injuries, but there's just too many at this point. Too many stacked up.
Well, see, I don't know, because the Lions have done a very good job of that this year.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but I feel like at some point the magic's going to run out. You only get a few of those runs before it gets harder to come back from injury. So you just kind of have to keep an eye on them and see if they can come back. Or else they might end up like San Francisco.
Yep. So, they're not fully out of it yet. They're only 2 games out, but I would be remiss if they found a way to sneak into the playoffs as we slowly basically wave goodbye to the 49ers in 2024. And we're going to wave goodbye to week 13 with a very special Monday night game.
Call me R.J. Reynolds, because I love a Winston at night. But this is the Jameis variety, and boy was it a sight. A performance unlike any other, as is his duty, and a career day out of revenge for one Jerry Jeudy. But Bo Nix and the Broncos barely beat the Browns, and an instant classic that left very few with frowns, as the Broncos beat the Browns 41-32 in what may have been the best game of the year.
So, you guys want to hear a Jameis Winston stat?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston in this game, when you combine both teams, passed for 668 yards and 6 touchdowns. Just 2 of those, and about 200 yards of those, or about 160 yards of those, were to the Denver Broncos.
He's an equal opportunity quarterback. What can I say?
He is the least discriminatory quarterback out. He will throw to anybody who's open, regardless of team.
The 668 combined passing yards plus interception return yards off his passes are the most by any quarterback in a single game in NFL history. This was also the franchise record for passing yards in a game by the Browns, as he threw for 497 yards.
To the Browns.
The second most by a quarterback on Monday night, behind only Tom Brady against the Dolphins in 2011. And this was also the most receiving yards by a player against their former team, as Jerry Jeudy had 235 yards against the team that traded him this offseason.
This game was so goddamn bizarre in the second half.
Just
Like,
kept
It was
going,
on
man.
crack.
Well, you have that moment where you have the 93-yard pass to Mims for a touchdown by Bo Nix, and then on
One
the
of the
very
best-
what was that?
One of the best throws I've ever seen.
Yeah,
That was
unbelievable
beautiful.
throw. And then the very next play from scrimmage is a 70-yard touchdown by Jerry Jeudy.
And then they got the 2-point conversion with Jeudy too,
Yeah.
to put him within 3.
Like this game, like Jerry Jeudy made it very clear that he was like, I am going to fucking destroy my old team.
Boy, did he.
But you got the complete Jameis Winston experience in this game. And I just remember, like, when I was watching this game and listening to Troy Aikman and Joe Buck talk about, like, man, just imagine if, like, they had been starting Jameis the whole time. He's been great so far. And I was like, just wait. Because the goddamn pick six, the first one that he threw, I swear to God, he has thrown that same pick six 100 times in his NFL career. It's always the out route that he throws to the inside, right to the fucking defender. He does that so goddamn much. Oh God, I love Jameis Winston.
Oh, it's so fun.
So, let's see. Jerry Jeudy has 880 receiving yards on the year, which is tied for 5th in the NFL. 459 of those are in his last 3 games.
That is truly absurd. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, like, how much the quarterback was holding this team back. Like,
It's frustrating.
Like, obviously, I don't think you're gonna go far with Jameis. Well, I don't know. You might be able to, because everybody thinks they can fix him, right? I mean, Bruce Arians got some truly ridiculous production out of him, and he also got 30 interceptions. So, like, I don't know what you do to make Jameis your guy, because clearly people think he can be the dude. And this
I
is
hope they
that's
give
just
him a
him.
year. I
Yeah.
really hope he gets a full year next year with Stefanski, just to see what happens.
Just
Because
stop trying to fix him. I mean, if he throws a pick, at least let it be an arm punt. You just have to stop the guy. It
Yeah.
really doesn't do anything different from a punt.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help though when he spots the other team 14 points. So
Well, that's for them not stopping the guy that's running the other direction. Just be in front of him and tackle him.
they need an offensive safety. That's what they
And-
need.
Literally centering your team around a boom or bust, like psychology would work. I just don't know if anyone would be willing to try it.
Yeah.
I think it's possible with Jameis.
They
Could you
should.
imagine though if they just ran like they line up Nick Chubb in the backfield and then Nick Chubb just drops back 15 yards to play safety in case he throws a pick six? Like... yeah, like God, what was his quote after the game too, where he was basically saying like, "Lord, save me from these pick sixes" or something, like, or no, it's deliver me from these pick sixes. That's what it was. Like you can't write this dude's fucking jokes, or not even joke. Just he's like an office character in real life. Like
When he
I love this
retires,
man.
he needs to be a preacher.
He does, yeah. Old Reverend Jameis Winston.
I am not a religious person. I would attend one of his services.
Absolutely.
I would be there in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh. And on the other side of the ball, how about these fucking Broncos, dude?
Dude,
They're
I've been
going to the
on
playoffs.
that all season.
A,
They've been building something.
a rare miss by their defense, and they still found a way to pull it out and win.
They are tied with the Ravens in the standings right now, and they are half a game back of the Chargers. They're a game back of the Steelers.
And
Like if the Chiefs weren't 11-1, this team would be in contention for like the 2 or the 3 seed.
I mean, if they hadn't had the field goal blocked at the end of the Chiefs game, they'd be 9-4 and a game back of the division.
Yeah. Like this team is genuinely legit.
They're legit.
I mean,
Yeah.
They're
Bo
a ye-
Nix is
A year
they got
ahead
an
of time,
offensive-
honestly.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's got an offensive rookie of the year case build, and I know Jaden Daniels has had some great games, but like, and Caleb Williams has had his moments, and Drake May has had his moments, but it would not shock me at all if the dust settles and offensive rookie of the year ends up going to Bo Nix.
His numbers are genuinely great this year too. Yeah.
Mhm. First couple games were terrible, and then he figured it out running
Yeah.
a pro offense.
So
Yeah,
I
this
tip
was-
my hat to you, Bo Nix.
This was his first pick since the Ravens game. He went 3 without throwing one, and they won 2 of them.
That is
Uh,
nuts.
It's looking like the Falcons game to me is still the one that stands out. That one was
Oh
just
yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rooting for him. Not
Yeah.
so much for Sean Payton, but I'm rooting for Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Good for him.
yeah. And that was week 14. How about that?
What a fucking week.
What a week. But with every week, there's a lot that also goes on non-football. So let's throw it over to the dues.
So there's a couple of elephants in the room. We'll approach those in a bit, but of course, first, another rash of injuries that unfortunately can't be avoided, and especially for the Lions, as they lost another defensive starter, Malcolm Rodriguez, to the year with a torn ACL that he suffered on Thanksgiving. So as a result, they signed Quan Alexander, remember him, off the Broncos practice squad. So we'll see what he's got left in the tank. The Giants lost rookie tight end Theo Johnson for the year with a foot injury, as well as their standout defensive end Dexter Lawrence for the year, as he dislocated his elbow against the Cowboys. Ow. The Commanders placed Austin Eckler on IR with the concussion he suffered last week against the Cowboys, and Trevor Lawrence was also put on IR with the concussion he suffered against the Texans, so his season is over. And it was also announced today he will be having surgery on his injured shoulder now that he's done for the year. So that'll reduce the amount of time he spends rehabbing it over in the offseason. Mentioned earlier the injury to Taysom Hill. Turns out that was a torn ACL, so he's out for the year. Christian McCaffrey's injury was a PCL injury, so he's done for the year, as is Jordan Mason with a high ankle sprain. The 49ers also lost Kevin Givens to the year with a torn pec. What god did they piss off?
Dude, it's unreal. Yeah.
It's getting ridiculous for them at this point. The Bengals placed Evan McPherson, their kicker, on IR with a groin injury, so they signed Cade York to their practice squad to kick for the next 4 games. The Spencer Schrader, who the Chiefs signed to fill in for Harrison Butker, suffered a hamstring injury, so he's on IR. So Matthew Wright, who replaced Jake Moody earlier this year on the Niners, kicked for the Chiefs this past weekend and will kick for them again this weekend. The Lions also picked up Jamal Adams to their practice squad with other injuries they've got going on. So if this was 2018, they'd be looking pretty good right now. The Jaguars gave Walker Little a 3-year, $45 million contract extension with $26 million guaranteed. Great deal for him and the team. The Cardinals extended James Conner for 2 years and $19 million. The Commanders cut their former first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes Jr., and he was claimed off waivers by the Rams. And lastly, the Bills brought back old friend Micah Hyde to their practice squad.
That can be big down the stretch.
And then on to the elephants in the room. After the inexplicable loss to the Lions on Thanksgiving, Bears fans gave thanks to their front office as Matt Eberflus has finally been fucking fired. Interim offensive coordinator Thomas Brown is now the interim head coach. So in the span of about 28 days, he has gone from pass game coordinator to head coach.
Did Matty Eberflus get to take the time out with him as part of severance package?
I'll have to confirm with my sources. I'll get back to you on that.
He's like, I've been saving this bad boy for the right moment. I knew it.
And then mentioned earlier as well, Azeez Al-Shaair was suspended 3 games for his hit on Trevor Lawrence. He appealed his suspension and it was already denied. He put out an apology on his Twitter account 2 days ago, which, I mean, take that for what you will. But then, after his appeal was denied today, he went on Twitter again and posted... oh, no, that's the wrong Twitter account. Give me a second. Where was the post? Here it is.
Picture of the Joker.
His apology sounded AI generated.
It kind of did. But then he posted, if you want me to be your villain, I'll be your villain. Middle finger emoji. See you soon. Joker card emoji. Sure.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
And I do want to go on a quick little tangent here that's not really football related. So he wore cleats in the game that said Free Palestine on them. And
All right.
I don't like at all the idea of people taking what he did and taking how he handled it after and using it to denounce what is going on with that whole situation. Because those two things should not go hand in hand. And the fact that people are using that and being Islamophobic and racist is fucking awful. And if you're one of those people and you're hearing this, you should be ashamed of yourself for that.
Yeah, we don't touch. I mean, obviously we've talked about stuff like Deshaun Watson and like personal shit on this show before. We don't touch on politics a lot on this, but like, yeah, like somebody's political beliefs are not always like indicative of who they are as a person. And I think they, like you said, that is kind of bullshit to weaponize a stance that somebody has on the spectrum to just shit on them, you know? Like, the dog's barking.
The dog agrees.
Yeah. Like that has nothing to do with like the quality of person or what his actions were. And the people of Palestine have to deal with enough, you know? Don't fucking use football man's actions to weaponize that. So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
That was also not the only suspension this week, as the Ravens suspended Deontay Johnson for a game for conduct detrimental to the team. And since the Ravens are on bye this week, that means he will miss their Week 15 game against the Giants. And ironically enough, it's because he refused to enter the game.
I swear the Steelers are planting sleeper agents in other teams. Like that's the only thing that makes sense at this point.
They have to be.
Yeah. It happened to us with Gunnar Olszewski, and now we understand how to weaponize it. So Mike Tomlin needs an award from like the American Psychology Association or something on how he can handle these people with character issues as well as he does. It's unbelievable.
Dude, I'm just telling you, the George Pickens meltdown for like the goddamn Dolphins in like 2 years is gonna hit like that. Like, just you wait.
Did you guys see the clip of Broderick Jones realizing that Mike Tomlin was mic'd up?
Yeah.
Yes, that
He
was so
like,
good.
Shut your ass up.
That was so goddamn funny.
I love Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin's the best.
Hell yeah.
And also more news around the Jaguars. Their running backs coach Jerry Mack has left the team to become the new head coach at Kennesaw State. So I don't know who they're going to replace him with for the rest of the year, but interesting
Some guy.
move there. I still don't know why Kennesaw State fired the head coach they had, but interesting hire to replace him, I guess, if you insist. And then former tight end Eric Ebron, who played, I think, for the Colts and the Steelers, announced his retirement after 8 seasons in the league. So good luck to whatever he does.
He went to turn in his application for retirement and he dropped it.
I knew you were going to make a joke about that.
God damn it. I was gonna say, I could have swore he was around longer than that. Like, his career felt like it started like over a decade ago, but
And it did, yeah.
yeah. On a different note, enjoy retirement. Congrats on a solid NFL career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly,
ignore Steven.
I wish no ill will against him.
And lastly, another rumor floating around. It's not confirmed. It's a rumor floating around, and an honorable WTF moment of the week is apparently Jerry Jones is considering purchasing Tottenham Hotspur.
So he's in London right now. Like, he's been spotted there, and that's the rumor. Because I don't know the full situation, but isn't like Tottenham's owner like trying to sell the team right now or something?
Yes.
And Davey Hazard, our local Tottenham Hotspur fan here at Track and Turf Media, not a football fan, but does know who Jerry Jones is and is not happy about this rumor.
Yeah, another friend of the show, Darren Ingram, another noted Cowboys fan, like Matt, also is a Tottenham fan, and said the other day that if Jerry Jones buys the team, he will root for another team because he cannot stand to root for 2 Jerry Jones-owned teams.
I have been looking for a Premier League team, and I was going to settle on the Spurs. But if this happens, I will be taking my loyalties elsewhere.
I am on the Liverpool grift. I don't care.
You guys got to mix it up. You got to start picking some different teams because you guys, like, everybody in the U.S. all roots for the same goddamn teams. We got to change this up.
Dude, objectively not.
I mean, in stuff like this, everybody's like, let's all become Spurs fans. I'm like, are we not all seeing how miserable Davey is every week?
Well, that's true.
But that's why I picked Liverpool.
Having him explain what the Spurs are like, it's basically a mirror image of the Steelers. So it has to fit. There's no way it won't fit.
That is true, yeah. Well,
like the salami lid.
So it's funny, one of my other friends he lives... God, shut the fuck up.
See, I mean,
I hate that fucking meme so goddamn much. I'm trying to... Alright, I'm gonna take this a little more off topic to talk about USRL lore, but the goddamn like week that Austin was just stimming that constantly was the closest I ever came to just banning him. I was like, shut the fuck up. This has never been funny, and I'm gonna end you.
It's pretty funny.
Put that in the thumbnail now.
Absolutely not. It's not going in. I'm just gonna cut this entire fucking conversation from the episode. You'll never hear it.
Unbelievable. We're being silent.
They'll never know that the salami lid fit.
What was I gonna say? Oh, but yeah, I was talking about because like one of my my other friends who lives in Toronto like doesn't really watch football at all, and one of my other friends who's a Packers fan was basically like goading me on about being a Cowboys fan, and I was reading the Jerry Jones moon quote, which also new theory about that. I think Jerry Jones is a werewolf, and he was concerned about if it was a full moon and where it was, because if it was, he's like, shit, I gotta get out of here, man. We gotta keep the doors, we gotta keep the windows open for the sun to get in here. That, or he's afraid of vampires. So it's one of those two. But said friend is an Arsenal fan, and when I was telling him about Jerry Jones considering buying Tottenham, he was like, good. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know what that somehow that started as being about soccer, and now we're talking.
Well, this
about
is a football
vampires.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, lastly, our WTF or What the Football Moment of the Week comes courtesy of the Lions, where Jahmyr Gibbs accidentally leaked team protection calls in a Snapchat video. So I think the reaction is better because when Dan Campbell was asked about it, he responded, I mean, if we're going to lose because of code words, then we're not good enough anyway.
Spitting.
Real football.
He
guy
is
It's
right
just
there.
an excuse to change up all your plays.
Yeah. Little did he know, it was a decoy.
Exactly.
Spider
Those
White's
were
banana.
dummy signals.
Genuinely,
Yeah.
I think they were. If you have everybody on call, whatever it was, fucking salami lid, for example,
I'm gonna fucking
you
scream.
drop everybody back, and then they run a run play, and they get a first down. It's like a reverse Spygate.
Yeah. Okay.
Dan Campbell spreading misinformation.
And to make Matt Eberflus feel a little bit better, on this day in football history, December 4th, 2017, the Giants fired Ben McAdoo.
Oh God.
Did nothing else happen on December 4th? Like, is that all there was?
Joe Thomas's birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny how every time we do one of these, it's like the forward pass was invented on this day.
By John
this
Forward
week-
Pass.
Yeah. And then this week it was, that guy got fired from the Giants that one time. Remember? He had
Yeah,
really
but
bad
that was
haircut.
really funny.
That was
really
one of the
funny.
worst head coach tenures in NFL history.
Well, the
He
weird
won a
thing is,
play- he made
yeah.
the playoffs.
his first year he went to the playoffs, and then he got
Giants
fired
would-
midway through the
Yeah.
next year.
Well,
He was really good in 2016, and then it just... Ugh.
Yeah, and then he benched Eli Manning, and they were like, "Get this fucking
exactly.
guy out of here."
Just completely ruined it.
Yeah. He also had like an 8-year-old's haircut the first year he was there. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
He did start 2-10 that year.
Yeah. I just wouldn't do that if I'm being honest.
That's real.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote that, and then I remembered that he's on the Patriots coaching staff.
Oh, they write the
Bitch.
jokes write themselves, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of, I don't really have a transition for this. Let's go to Dunyan Rings. I'm chucking the Bengals into the deep fryer. They're fucking done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we haven't sporked them, but I'm fucking throwing them in.
Yeah. It's over.
Yeah. It's Jover.
Sure.
Also,
think
big
we can-
shout on us. We chucked Matt Eberflus into the deep fryer last week. So
Honestly, I think the only other team I could consider for this week is probably the 49ers, but with the amount of talent they have, I don't want to do that yet.
well,
that division's
and,
still up for grabs.
yeah,
and
they're
also
2 games
that.
out of the division lead, and I'm pretty sure they have the tiebreaker over the Seahawks right now.
They do.
Since we're gonna call it the deep fryer now, I nominate a 20-pound bag of ice.
The whole goddamn kitchen is Dunyan Rings at that rate. I'm putting it in there though.
Awesome.
God, that's something I'm gonna have to add if I draw the Dieter Brock Studios. There's just a random deep fryer in the corner with like a football floating in it.
Deep fried
well,
football.
no. That's so if we ever build it, we can just make our own food like in firehouses.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
you gotta have like like one of the like rotary hot dog cookers. From a
Yeah.
gas station.
One of the
with
7-Eleven
rollers.
things.
Just taquitos, just on rotation all day.
Yeah.
Wood.
Hell yeah.
Rolling taquitos at a low price, satisfactory.
The fuck?
We have thoroughly come off the rails in the last 15 minutes.
I think that's enough for Dunny Nerds.
Yeah,
Bengals
Bengals
and
and
a
a
bag of
20-pound bag
Oh,
of
the salami lid.
ice. God damn. Okay, this is
That
the worst part,
that
right?
means it's Dunyan rings.
Because I have to fucking agree. I have to acknowledge it. Because if I don't, then I'm saying I believe that the salami lid will in fact fit. So
Well, see, here's the problem though. There's so much on the sheet. I don't think it'll fit on the sheet.
God damn it. All right, I'm moving the fucking show along. We're going to pick the
Yeah, we're
ends.
good. We're good.
Yeah. I do want to start to self-suck for a moment because your boy tied the record for the best week in Oofside's Pick They Them's history at 15-2, which
Fraud.
was set by Garrett in week 2 of 2020, aka the second time we ever picked games. So we peaked that early in the history of the show. So pretty pumped that I got back up to those heights. Thanks, Bengals and Patriots, for fucking me.
Dude, I was
so
so
close.
irritated.
Yep.
I went 13-4, and the 4 I got wrong by a combined 10 points.
Oh my god.
I was so
Pat-
close to getting that Panthers game.
Dude.
The Pats and Cardinals are both 1-point losses, and the Jaguars were 3. Like, man!
Yep.
Quick shout out though as well to friends of the program Weaver and Antonio, because we do picks on ESPN as well. They both went 16-0 this week on ESPN picks.
That is nuts.
Shout out to you two.
Yeah.
You had the vision.
And now, let's get into week 14. Starting with Thursday night, Packers at Lions. Huge
Packers
game.
in a stunner.
Whoa.
You know what? I
can
was
see
leaning
it.
that too. Packers are on a little bit of a roll. I think this is a game where, with the talent that the Packers have, some of the injury holes that the Lions have are going to get exposed a bit. I'm taking the Pack in this one.
Goddamn. Okay. Well, I'll be riding with the Lions. I believe. I'm staying with my man Dan Campbell. We then kick off the Sunday slate: Jets at Dolphins.
Dolphins. Division rival team, obviously, so I'm not rooting for them too hard, but I will root for any team over the Jets.
Yeah, I gotta take the Dolphins.
I
my-
want to make a case for the Jets, but it's
Oh,
not
God.
happening. Give me the
Yeah.
Dolphins.
So here's some of our records picking the Jets this year. Steven, you have picked them 7 times. You are 3-4. I've picked them 5 times. I'm 2-3. Dewey, you've picked them once. You are 0-1.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
so
did it once, and I said I'm never doing this again.
I have as many wins as the Jets do this year.
You do. You have correctly picked all 3 Jets wins.
That's insane.
You've also incorrectly picked 4 times. So,
Which week did I pick them?
that is a good question. I'm gonna have to figure this out. But I'm assuming you're going with the Dolphins, Steven.
I am.
Oh,
indeed.
yeah.
I picked them in week 4 when they lost to the Broncos. That makes
So
sense.
You were a missed field goal away from getting your only Jets pick right.
Yeah, but I'm glad they got that wrong, because if they won that game, their entire season might have gone differently.
Yeah, that is true.
That was the catalyst for all of this.
Speaking of seasons going differently, Falcons at Vikings. One team on a hot streak, the other team slowly fading away. Kirk
Vikings.
Cousins' revenge game.
1998 NFC Championship game rematch.
Gary Anderson just shuddered awake somewhere. I will also be taking the Vikings.
Had to fall with the bad kicker juju we've been on.
I will also be taking the Vikings. I'm very tempted to lock this game, but I just don't know.
I was very tempted as well.
I thought about it.
Saints at Giants, a true who cares game.
Oh, fuck me.
Take the Saint,
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Saints, but dear God.
since I have to.
Yeah, I'll take the Saints as well. I've learned
I'm
my
gonna-
lesson picking ties.
I'm gonna pay as little attention to this as I have to.
Same. I feel like if we don't even cover this game next week, I don't think anybody will notice.
Nobody will
don't
give a
even
fuck.
acknowledge it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Panthers at Eagles.
Locking the Eagles.
Oh shit. You guys were perfectly synced up on my end. We might have to flip a coin for this one. Unless
I call heads.
Shit, I can't even find.
Okay.
I mean, I always forget. I can just Google flip a coin. Okay, Dewey has heads. Okay. And it's tails. Steven gets.
Fuck! Son of a bitch!
That was loud. I will also
For
be
once, a
taking
coin
Eagles.
toss works for the Steelers.
Oh wait, good thing we weren't flipping the coin for the Chiefs game.
Yeah. Wait, who is? Oh God, who is the official who fucked up the coin toss in that Thanksgiving game with the Steelers? Oh my God.
I don't know.
Phil Luckett. That was his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Browns at Steelers.
Steelers. Be real
Steelers
here.
get their revenge from 2 weeks ago.
Uh.
Steelers going Super Bowl.
Actually, no, I do have to pick the Steelers because I don't pick the Browns anymore. That's right. Okay, go Steelers. Yeah. Raiders at Bucks, the Gruden Bowl.
I'm gonna take the Bucks, but I'm gonna stop short of locking them.
I'm gonna lock them. Go Bucks.
I'll take the
Good.
Bucks.
Go take the division lead. Bury them like the Super Bowl again. Another Who Cares Bowl, Jags at Titans.
Ugh.
Man.
Tight. Well, hold on.
Tie.
Mm,
They're gonna tie.
I can see it.
yeah,
That's
I'm
the
gonna.
worst part.
Nick Westbrook-Akine is gonna score another touchdown, and the Titans will win.
Oh, don't make me take the Jaguars.
Take the Jags. I'm giving up a win. You should too.
Well, I could be giving up a win for all I know.
All right, I'll take the
There's
Jags.
no winners here. Nobody
last-
wins at all in this game.
Except us, the fans at home.
I'm 2-2 picking the Jags. Oh shit. Okay. Seahawks at Cardinals. Huge game for the division.
Ooh.
Didn't they just play 2 weeks ago?
They did.
Yes.
I
And
picked the
Seahawks won
Cardinals
that game.
wrong. I picked the Cardinals wrong that time. I'm not making that mistake again this time. I'm picking the Seahawks.
I'm gonna take
On
the
a bit of a
Cardinals
roll.
for maximum division chaos. So.
I'm gonna be mad if I get that wrong again.
Oh man. I don't
Another
know.
Tie.
Last time I picked the Seahawks 1v2 and I won. Oh god.
Now you,
You know
have
what?
to 2v1 somebody.
No, I don't. Give me a tie.
God damn it!
Let's go.
I can't.
Just pick a
Jesus
tie for
Christ.
every game at this point.
One of them's got to work out eventually.
Exactly.
Bills at Rams.
Bills by 403.
Yeah, I was taking the Bills as well.
Oh boy. Do I want to lock the Bills? I don't know what else. I don't know what to lock at this point.
Well, you have a fired head coach game coming up.
Yeah, this is an exception though. Not this one. No way, right?
You never know. You could lock the Dolphins.
Hell no. Anyway, I'll come back to that. We'll revisit this.
All right. Bears at Niners. I'm gonna take the Bears. Fired head coach game.
Oh.
You're making me want to pick the Bears, man.
The last time they played, the Bears won. Even though that was Justin Fields versus Trey Lance. They did win.
Oh God, I forgot about that game.
Wasn't that the game that Garoppolo snapped his ankle?
No, because that was
Or was that the previous week?
No, that was the season where Justin Field or Trey Lance started as the starter and then got hurt like 2 games in.
Oh, it was him. It was him that broke this. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still gonna take the Niners, but I might regret that.
Okay, I think I gotta take the Bears.
Hell yeah.
I think the
I
Bears
just
are
got
the
a
one
feeling.
team that the fired head coach game doesn't work for.
Just keep firing head coaches until it works.
Yeah, eventually.
One of these days.
Sunday night football, Chargers at Chiefs.
Chargers.
You read my mind. Chargers in the upset.
God damn it. I wanted
It's
to take
not
the
gonna
Chargers
happen.
too, but we cannot sweep against the Chiefs. There's no fucking way.
We've got to fight back against
you're-
the bullshit somehow. We got to make our own bullshit.
Look out for yourself. You're getting a free win here.
Yeah,
It's gonna make up for your Jaguars pick.
Somehow it feels like we're crab bucketing if we all pick the Chargers, so I gotta take the Chiefs. So, and then finally Monday night, Bengals Cowboys.
The John
Who
Kitner
cares?
Bowl.
The
Bengals. I think they actually find a way to do it this time.
It's like a competition of who has the worst defense.
Well, the Cowboys' defense just played very well, but I think the Bengals' offense will be able to overcome that.
It's
The
gonna
problem
be
is
like
that-
54-51 game in the Coliseum.
The problem is, can the Bengals' defense fucking stop Cooper Rush and Rico Dowdle? And I don't know.
That's a really funny sentence. The vaunted attack
Yeah.
of Cooper Rush. I guess I'll take the Cowboys, but I don't feel good about it. 'Cause this will be the
also
game
very-
that keeps the Bengals in the playoff hunt.
I'm also very happy because the Patriots are one of 6 teams on bye this week, so I can watch all these games while not being stressed, and that makes me thrilled.
I think I have to take the Bengals here.
Yeah. I'll take my 2v1. Dewey, did you figure out your lock?
I'm gonna risk it and lock the Bills.
Hell yeah.
Not very confident in that, but I don't like my chances with any other one, so we'll see.
So once they lose, I will be telling Jack that you locked them.
I'm okay with that. Because when Jack's mad, it's funny.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true.
I want to see what happens.
You know
God,
it'll happen.
looking at the graphic for this week's Pick'ems thing and just seeing 2 ties in a row on Stevens.
That's beautiful.
Son of a bitch.
That right there is a work of art.
You don't see the vision. Just you
I'm
wait.
moving different.
Smoking symbiote.
Need more Sequoia Banshee boogers.
Gulping sea monkeys by the gallon. My tummy feel crazy.
She sucked me like a cordless Dyson V8.
Drake May got me speaking Esperanto.
And on that note, this has been Oofsides here on Track and Turf Media. If you want to go listen to all the old episodes, we haven't missed a single episode this season. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
We're moving different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The top shelf Zaza disrupted my circadian rhythm.
Canadian rhythm.
Yeah. God damn it. Yeah, go follow everything everywhere in the links in the description. You know what to do. I'm not gonna tell you to do the YouTube thing that everybody does because that's for nards. And we'll see you next time.
Dislike, don't comment, don't subscribe.
Like, Chaser,
I'm on those Green Bay Geronimos.